And I'll be live here in just a few minutes. Give me a second to get YouTube all squared away. Be with y'all in just a minute. Hang in there. And we should be getting close to going live. Saved. There we go. And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd, and today is Tuesday, March 26th, 2024, and I'm not advertising for NetJets here. I don't want to use up all my good tape. Anyway, free shirt. I hate advertising. There we go. Yeah. I don't like advertising for people that I have no affiliation with. Actually, this is a giveaway. I have too many dress shirts, so I had it laying over there. So I was going to throw it away, but hey, things come in handy when you need them. So here we are. Uh, Christine was gracious enough to reach back out to me, and she wants to come on and do something live. But as you all might know, with Christine, and I'm sure this is already being monitored. The last time her and I tried to do a live video, she was being hacked in real time. Actually, could visually see her hacker and also reverse hacked him on her phone. So she's watching her hack him. Yeah, literally, and yes, cyberly would be the apt term. I don't know. Uh, anyway, so yeah, we ran into all kind of technical difficulties doing that show. Hopefully, we won't encounter that again today, but she is getting prepared. We've been working on this for the last 48 hours to get this production to you live. So the only thing I can do on my end due to her erratic availabilities, due to her circumstances, I just sent her the link. I'm jumped on live. So she said anytime before 5 p.m. So uh, that's roughly an hour and 25 minutes in her time. So hopefully between now and then she can jump on. I'm just waiting for her. She already has the link. So she'll jump onto this and I'll add her as quickly as possible. We'll get right into the nitty gritty. If you're listening, Christine, and don't have time to log on, just hit me up whenever. I'm ready to go. In the meantime, while we are in limbo awaiting the illustrious Christine Scott, and hey, kudos to her, hats off. And, I'm sure I don't think she's ever asked for donations. I don't even think, I don't know if she needs donations, but, for someone like Christine Scott, everything helps. She has my 110% support. She's one of the true movers and shakers in America today. It is what it is, man. I call them like I see them. Just like John Thaler with Report to the Governor, his investigations. Christine is like the same nose to the grindstone, focused, don't get me off my path type of person. And she's determined, courageous. It's a great honor to even be associated with her. That's all I got to say, because I know what it takes to get to the United States Supreme Court, how hard you have to fight. It's no easy struggle just, creating a writ of certiorari and sending it in, or a writ of mandamus. You got to fight through the courts to get to that level. Can't just go to that level, not unless it's of some national security importance or immediate resolution type of deal, like, there's a hard deadline, like an election's coming up or something like that. Oh yeah, let me jump over on this and address this real quick for you guys, because I'm sure most of you are like, huh, what's going on, Floyd? I know you shot a video. Where'd it go? Right? Live. Okay, I gotta go over here in my back, my actual content to show it to you. All right, here we go. Now, y'all know I made a video the other day with LeFlore, right? LeFlore discusses the People's Operation Restoration, right? Remember this? I unlisted it, just like I said I was going to do in YouTube. Okay, because of some of the topics and some of the words and phrases that were mentioned in this video, the YouTube police would eviscerate me and definitely give me a strike, take the video down. So I did the live video, left it up for a little while, got a little meat on it, and I unlisted it, as you see. So it's no longer public. However, if you do want to watch this video, it is available over here in Rumble. There it is right there. It's also on Odyssey. It's also on my Facebook page. It's also on my Telegram. So you can go all those places and there's the video. I encourage you all to watch it. Now, getting back over here to the videos that I just did, all eyes are on you. Our eyes on you. You haven't had a chance to go watch this real quick video. It's only 23 minutes. I'm going to continue down that rabbit hole until Christine gets on here. And we're just kind of roll through this. I want to make a kind of a preface, caveat, whatever. And look, I'm not perfect. I'm always the first one to step up and say when I've made a mistake, or I've done something incorrectly, or I did something out of line, or whatever. Okay. Now I posted 500 and over 500 videos, almost 600 now. And along the way, I've shared my experiences with you guys as much as possible. What happens to me, what's going on, this filing, that filing. I've made a lot of mistakes. And, in life, I really don't have regrets, but doing some of these processes and getting involved with some of these people, I do have regrets. But it's part of the learning process. And without pushing the boundaries, you're never going to know how far you can actually go. I got Ann over here blowing me up. Ann LeFlore. So, yeah, it's you know, it's a thing. And all my videos aren't perfect. Some of them, have some outdated stuff. I probably should go back and just go ahead and pull them off YouTube and all my social media platforms, to begin with, and just clean it up and go back and start over. Or would you rather see that, because if you follow me now, you understand, kind of what all I'm about. And a lot of these processes out there are unnecessary, especially in today's climate with what's going on in the world, with all the illegal immigration. And I keep harping on that to you guys because, you know, a terrorist looks just like anybody else now. You know, they're not some Middle Eastern guy wearing, what we traditionally called a turban or a headpiece. Yeah. Now they can be African, they can be Chinese, they can be European, anything. So, everybody's a target, including white people. Russians look like white people, Ukrainians look like white people. I'm not saying they're terrorists, but it is what it is, folks. We're no longer, worried about the traditional wetbacks crossing over the border to come work our, migrants to come work our fields and then take their money and go back home to Mexico. That was a thing traditionally for hundreds of years. They came to work the fields. But then the Central Americans said, like, oh, hey, let's do what the Mexicans are doing. Let's get out of these jungles and this poverty and, go work the fields, make some money, come back home. Well, some of them decided they wanted to stay and, they called their buddies and friends and family and said, hey, man, y'all come on. And so then we had the Central American invasion. That happened all during the 80s and the 90s. Now here we are in the 2000s and Jesus Christ, like somebody broke the faucet and it's wide open and it's not stopping. And I blame the executives from the cities, counties, states, and federal government. They could have stopped us a long time ago. They're just playing political rhetoric to you guys. So let's dive into this. First, I showed you some license plates in this video, right? Let's go look at those. Here's a new one for the bingo card. It's that church diplomat thing I talked about. So, you see they have a hologram over here, 2024, to make it like real official with this seal on it of the United States Federal Services Department of Transportation. Department of Transportation. And that's not even it doesn't even look like it's a real metal plate. It looks like it's a decal or something. And then they have this church gov.0, like that's supposed to fool somebody. The only fool's the one who got this plate on their car. The only fool I see. Right? So anyway, they've got their own website over here. I had it popped up. I don't really care about it. Anyway, let's go back over here to Dr. Sarteshi, the one who's keeping an eye on everybody. When you watch these movies and you got the conspiracy theorist or the private investigator or that, delusional or nut job cop out there, and he's got all these pictures and shit all on this wall, and he's got, thumbtacks over here with a string drawn over here, connecting this guy to this guy and that guy to that guy. And you got this big old puzzle pieces. Is this what she's doing? Is that what we're seeing? She like finding who's who and connecting the dots and making an almanac of who's who of sovereign citizens. I don't know. So I wanted to keep going further in her little Twitter and, of course, Sovereign Citizen Watch to see what all she's covering because she is very prolific over here on Twitter posting. He's asking for donations. He created a fundraiser to help pay for expert witnesses in the Delphi murder cases. Attorneys for the double murder suspects say Judge Gold denied them funds after the state added more witnesses to their list. I don't know anything about the case. What the hell? Drowned in toilet buried under pod. Wow. Just some of that, you just can't unsee anymore. Very, very disturbing. And I get a lot of that. 2.5 years in prison for death threats to Arizona's top election official. This is this is her opinion. Scott Farland. Magistrates witness a sharp increase brought before local courts. 300-page response to a parking fine. Why sovereign citizens are straining the legal system, probably. And you see what's happening, they're killing cops. People are killing cops. So it's going to get real scary out there. These illegal immigrants are going to start shooting at cops as well. So do you want to be driving around, illegal? I don't. Sure you don't either. So we went through all this last night.
And
Yeah, see, I'm still on March 23rd. That's how prolific she is over here on Twitter. I think this is like her main squeeze. Trial date. Yeah, we went through all that last night. Yeah, so I'm just to the 21st. Still March 21st. Smith County, Texas. Boy, I'm familiar with Smith County, Texas. David Strait, head of ASN Sovereign Citizens, here explaining what repudiating U.S. citizenship means. Here's David talking. And this is this Canadian that she's following, and I really don't know much about that. So, I don't know who these people are. We're just, following along, seeing what they're saying. Sovereign citizens have been labeled by the FBI as terrorist threat relative to other research about extremist groups. Limited research exists about sovereign citizen movement. And of course, she's going to put in her 2 cents. I've apparently pissed off some sovereign citizens with this article right here. There's at least one article that I keep addressing. Sovereign citizen case, Lancaster judge will not dismiss state's lawsuit against Upper Leacock farmer Amos Miller over raw milk sales. Wow, that's a sad case. I don't care. Well, not that I don't care about all this other stuff. There's only so much we can cover. And I just want to stay on the sovereign citizen stuff, because she also covers QAnon. Basically, anything that she finds conspiratorial, she's going to label it. That's what she's doing. That she's riding off that doctorate and found some easy targets as sovereign citizens, and apparently has infiltrated some of these groups and movements and used that inside information to write a book. CSPOA leader and constitutional sheriff of Bexar County, Michigan, Dar Leaf, is scheduled to do an event with sovereign citizen group Minnesota Common Law Grand Jury. I said, all eyes are on you. Somebody is watching you. Somebody who's watching you may not have your best interests at heart. And the sad thing, what you don't see is anybody saying, oh, hey, these sovereign citizens over here, I found them on the side of the Highway 90, actually picking up trash. Where are those good stories? Or do they even exist? Or just all sovereign citizens just bad people? I don't know. I got a copy of papers link served to the Marion County supervisor by the sovereign citizens that have been causing a disturbance at their meetings. They accuse them of treason and say the liability is 12 million each. Documents. Here's some of the verbiage. I don't know if this is actual verbiage from the instruments. It appears to be. I'm not going to vouch for the credibility of it. He has faced unrelenting threats and harassment from voters, lawmakers in Maricopa County, but Steve Richard continues to use Twitter to try and debunk disinformation about stolen elections. I don't know anything about all that. That's some more of that Canadian. The Mickey Clan sovereign citizen Maricopa County stunt covered in the Washington Post. Pro-Trump disruptions in Arizona County elevates fears for the 2024 vote. She posted this. So you see how misinformation, disinformation, or some information gets put out into the ether? So there you go. Mickey Clan now is a sovereign citizen. That's what she's labeling her. Now Mickey has to dispute that. That's why I said, I don't want anything to do with American state national sovereign citizens, none of those people, none of those folks, none of the assemblies, nothing, absolutely nothing. Do they have the right idea in mind? Absolutely. Yeah. But if you think you're going to go take over your state, that's not happening. If you want to go take your state back, go start at your city and your county. Take that back. When you get that, then go work on your state. When you get all your counties as a majority, That's just how the United States works. The only revolution we've ever had in this country, who'd we rebel against? England. How far away was England? If the white man would have came over there, let me rephrase that. If the Europeans would have come over here, okay, and befriended the Indians and try to cohabit with the Indians and not, become homicidal maniacs and create genocide across the country for more power and greed, they would have easily defeated the English. It would have never probably stepped foot on shore. That's not how it all turned out, is it? So let's continue with that. And when they tell you that crime rate is still dropping, this is 100% inaccurate. You know why? Because Harris County, Houston, Texas, well, let me rephrase that. Houston, Texas, through the Houston Police Department, okay, shelved. They just didn't even investigate them. 260,000 cases. Just, no, we don't have personnel to investigate them. Just put them over there. I don't know when we'll get to them, but right now we can't get to them. We just need to concentrate on these crimes that make the news. Pretty much what they've been doing. So the data has been skewed because they can't send that to the FBI for statistical reasons because it's shelved. So how many of those have they been doing that? Sovereign citizen bankruptcy court tried several different tactics that were unsuccessful, especially one when he tried to get the court to pay him an estimated funding amount of $6,459,999,300. That sounds like some shit John Kennedy French would do. Someone posted this birth announced in the Houston newspaper, and some thought it was a sovereign citizen in nature, some sovereign citizen buzzword, but also some other unusual stuff like the star seeds confirmed measurements were 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Coming forth with clean hands and a majority status are natural autochthonous people, Dante Wilson and Justin Parker of the Union State, Texas. We are obliged and honored to receive a gift from God, become sacred guardians for Riley Ariel Parker and trustees over the Riley Ariel Parker Trust, absolute in perpetuity. Private property of value with inalienable, indestructible interest. January 14th, 2024, this religious record and baptism of female XX star seeds arrival has been handwritten and sealed in the family Bible. This covenant established a sacred custodial trust in which the ministry as trustee is responsible for the religiously protecting and managing the affairs of the minor beneficiary. Star seeds confirmed measurements were 7 pounds and 2 ounces, 21 inches in length, having brown eyes and black hair. Any records containing the minor are non-public confidential information. Riley Ariel Parker is a server of the one master and is declared a citizen of heaven based on religious beliefs which outweighs any government interest. Until Riley Ariel Parker reaches the age of majority, all subject matters regarding the guardian's offspring will be communicated with the responsible parties. Any act to impair a private contract, convert into a false nationality, political status is null and void, fraud, and identity theft without written permission. No unauthorized power of attorney, interloper, guardian, ward, public, or private organization can breach this trust or exercise eminent domain and or cause suffering without remedy. This proclamation oath is with the prime something. That up. It's with the prime creator. And I don't know if that was in the Houston Chronicle. Houston newspaper that is. I live in Houston. I don't read the newspaper. Houston Chronicle is 100% garbage. It's owned by the Hearst Publishing Company. Garbage. Propaganda. Absolutely propaganda. So anyway, that was pretty neat their little article. So Dante Wilson and Justin Parker. That sounds like two men. So I don't know, is what it is. That was interesting. Ooh, went the wrong way. Right place. Really following the Canadian. What I'm trying to show you is she's covered a lot of people, a lot of people across the world. Brotherhood. Not even going to have that conversation. So we're continue. Yeah. And that's kind of where the sovereign citizen emitted from is the, alleged white supremacist movement. Uh, yeah, we already went through that. You kind of see where they're taking the narrative. Let's go back to that. Okay. Sovereign citizens that have been causing a disturbance at their meetings. They accuse them of treason. Okay. This is paralleling the stuff that happened in DC in January of when, right? I'm just, trying to explain to you guys what's out there, what the climate looks like, what the environment looks like, how cold, how hot's the water, Floyd? Stick your toe in it and find out and tell us. That's all I'm doing. Don't shoot me because I'm the messenger. I'm just relaying what's out here, what's in the ether, what's being posted in social media, who's talking about it, why are they talking about it, who are they talking about? What are some telltale signs that you're dealing with extremism and or someone who is into conspiracy theories? So many good answers from you all. Look like you got 199. She's asking these people, and then they're telling her, "Oh, boom, 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 boom. Let's go see if we can look at those." Only you can only post a reply. Like I said, I don't play on Twitter, so I don't know how that even works. Oh, there's my boy in Palestine hitting me up. We're trying to get a live video. I'm trying to get some live video footage from Palestine. Yes, that's what I'm working on. So I've got somebody in Palestine that I'm communicating with right now. And that's what I'm trying to get him to do is, go find you a device that we can do a live video with. If we can do that, then we got something. Till then, we don't have much. We just have a conversation. I have no idea who you are, where you're at. Proof of life, what I'm looking for. So she's just going on and on. Citizen Action Group aiming to form militias and grand jury convenes at Vail Library in Texas. They, you know, listen, somebody out there is watching, listening, reposting, noticing everyone, what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, why they think you're doing it, who you possibly, they need to label you somehow. So, you know what they're going to do. They're just going to throw that big umbrella over you. Oh, they're sovereign citizens. It's just an easy umbrella to throw over people. It's like a big net. You're just going to catch the big fish. Little ones are going to go right through the net. That's what's happening. You're a big fish, you're going to get caught. Interesting request from a public defender on Reddit. Please reply with any and all examples of questions posed to jurors about sovereigns. I'm representing one. He hasn't fired me, and the need to convince 8 people that his threats to sue police under the UCC is not a something. Yeah, I want to look at that. Let's see. Not an indicator of intoxication. Well, let's see. Considering I'm an expert in intoxicated related offenses, and I'm a little bit about the Texas Business Commerce Code, which is the UCC, and filing fraudulent liens and going through a trial and being a published litigator. Wow. Say, bro, you probably should have asked me that question instead of Reddit. Don't watch my videos. Sanity defense. Uh, oh, back one. All right, continue on. He likes violent, hardcore crime. I see that. American State National Sovereign Citizen says they put this message up on a billboard. Which judge will stop CYS legal kidnapping? 437,283 U.S. children in foster care. 84% of removals are not for abuse. See, she's labeling this. American State National Sovereign Citizen. I don't know who put it, but is that misinformation, disinformation, or is it 100% truth? Nobody knows, but it's out there in the ether. And who knows who put it up? Because it doesn't say, www.savethechildren.info. And I don't know if that's a real website or not. I just made that up on the fly. So don't go over there looking for something that may or may not be there. Yeah, I just hear you. Floyd told us to go to this website. We went over there and it was for selling, buying children. Let's see. That guy. If you do not want to be called a sovereign citizen, then you should avoid doing things that other sovereign citizens do. Exactly. Discovery provided. This case should be dismissed. I challenge jurisdiction. The state of Florida is a corporation. Dun & Bradstreet number has no jurisdiction over the living man. Well, that's not quite how you want to make that argument, but there's an argument there. But this is all sovereign citizen ideology statements. You can claim to be whatever you want. But I tell you, the place for this argument is in a court. It's not on the side of the road. It's not with a cop. It's not with, the DMV in court. And, I'm only on March 16th. We haven't even got into, some deeper stuff. I wonder if there's a way that you can actually, search her posts, and I'm sure there is, but I don't know how to do it because I don't play on Twitter. Let's go hit my favorite. Dr. Jane Ruby. These poor folks here, man. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Y'all want to get into a little Annabon rights? I got something. I got a little something, something. I got a whole bunch of somethings. Probably take up the next hour and a half until we wait on Christine. Dog like. Let me get over here and shoot her a email real quick. All right, I believe that's good. All right. And find it. Gee, email. No, there's David. David Lusher Straight and his crew out here scamming. Just sent me another email. To be a mastermind. You know, I was a mastermind in prison. Well, oh, they sent it to me in Telegram. Guys, I get stuff just so much that it gets bumped so quick. I lose track of it. You know, it just is what it is. Um, all right. This has been vetted, actually sanitized from the person who sent it to me. All right. They sent me this, and of course, it's a PDF form. Thank you for taking the time to do that. You didn't have to do that, but you decided that you wanted to inform some other people about what's really going on. So here we are. Here's proof of Anna von Reitz as a fraudster. There's more, but you've probably heard about her shenanigans from others. As Eric and David had said, she promotes the same top-down democracy hierarchy as she instructed the Hawaii coordinator at the time, Joshua, to remove me for asking questions. I also have proof of Joshua's wrongdoing in muting me and finally removing me from the assembly I co-created years prior, National, then Republic. I exhausted the administrative process and issued a claim of trespass against him, but his handler, Anna, protected him and encouraged the removal of any dissenters. It was quite comical. Okay. This particular person that sent me this, obviously I've been in contact quite a while. I also know Joshua. I've spoken to Joshua on the phone. Joshua, as well as the person who wrote this, the author of these emails, was also excommunicated and cast out of the Hawaii State Assembly by Anna. Yeah. To the point where, if I remember correctly, last time I talked to him, he said he was like going out into the jungle in an island in Hawaii and get away from everybody. He wanted nothing to do with any of it. Yeah. And I wish I still had his number, but my phone got stolen. I've had a couple crash since then, so I've lost a lot of contacts. That's why I tell you guys, if I don't call you back, I probably lost your number in that shuffle of the 3 or 4 or 5 phones I think I've gone through in the last 2 years, 3 years. And that's why I tell everybody, just call me, man. My number's out there. It's not like I'm hard to get a hold of. All right, we'll go through this first one because there's 36 pages of this. And of course, you see it's from Anna von Reitz. This is December 7th, 2020. And if I remember correctly, December 7th, if you go to the December 27th, 28th, 29th, whatever the Monday was, and I want to say it was the 27th, if I remember correctly, that entire podcast by Anna von Reitz was about Fearless Floyd. Feckless Floyd, as she so fondly called me. But anyway, let's dive in. Hawaii Assembly claim trespass notice of default. No, I did not say that, nor did I claim to be anything but what I have clearly said, a fiduciary for the United States of America, our unincorporated federation of states, period. If you are not an American, you have no business in the Hawaii Assembly and no reason to speak or question me. If people around the world agree with the principles of the Declaration of Independence and wish to enjoy the same freedoms, they can declare their individual national interests the same way we did. We will support their claim to their own land and protect their persons to the best of our ability. Ours is a nationalist movement, not a globalist movement. So we see this in terms of people from other countries standing up for themselves and their own traditions, languages, ethnicity, and history, and claiming the same freedoms we are all owed. Okay. So let's see. We will support their claims to their own land and protect their persons to the best of our ability. I've got 2 words for you, Anna. Bruce Doucette. Yeah. So for anybody else that's following Anna von Reitz, there's her statement in her own words. Bruce Doucette. When have you ever heard Anna ever in any one of her little diatribes that she likes to write and post on Facebook and all her other little fancy dancy places, or on her Monday night podcast, has she ever once said, hey, will y'all please send in some money for Bruce Doucette for his commissary or for his legal defense fund or for his appellate fund or for his family or for his victims? We'll continue. The author wrote, didn't you say the whole world needs to be identified as Americans to be safe? Give up sovereignty for safety, right? So then, would you be the fiduciary for the whole world because you say so? Anna replied, yes, and you can claim to be a member of the Hawaii Assembly without actually being an American at all. Enough said. On Monday, the author wrote, if you have facts, then you shouldn't have any problems providing it. Anyone can claim anything, including to be the fiduciary of the world or the United States of America. Doesn't make it true unless there's proof of claim. If not, then it's a false claim. Again, how can Hawaiians, the Hawaii Assembly, be Americans? Can they be Africans and Chinese and Australians? What exactly is a 1779 declaration, and why are you directing what people in their private capacity declare? What gives you or the coordinators authority over any people? And Anna von Fritz, that's about. It should be Adolf von Reitz, actually. I am acting as a fiduciary for the United States of America, the unincorporated Federation of States, trying to sort out how the Scottish Commercial Corporation doing business as the United States of America, Inc. from 1868, excuse me, to 1907, hey, spent our money for us, including the money it spent on Hawaii. Sorry about that. That's all there is to it. No claims, just facts and money transfers. And I don't owe you, any accounting. I will certainly discuss the situation with the Hawaii Assembly once the dust settles. But as far as I can see, you are not acting as an American, therefore are not even eligible to be in the Hawaii Assembly, and you don't have a 1779 declaration recorded. Okay? Listen how she talks to people, how she talks down to them. Okay, and how she puts things off. We're going to wait for the dust to settle. What do you mean, the dust to settle? Why would you want to wait for the dust to settle? That means if there's dust in the air, there's drama. If there's drama in the air, that needs to be tamped down, right? And then you can address a situation like a civil society should. But that definitely declares that there's unrest in the assembly. Okay, now she's going to start accusing her. Oh, you're not acting as an American. You're not even eligible. And you don't have this. Well, she's asking what this is. And of course, she didn't get the answer. This is what Anna does. Deflect, deflect, deflect. She cannot answer a direct question. That's when she turns you off. Person got to go. Where's that ejection button? Yeah, that was a good one. Can't wait for the next one. All right. The author replied, actually, all we've seen is obfuscation, deflection, division, attempts at top-down democracy to remove dissenting voices. There's still no records and receipts from your claim that, and I quote, the landmass of the Hawaiian Islands was sold to the U.S. government by your queen, who agreed to the annexation in exchange for enough of our American gold. The U.S. bought it for us without our knowledge or permission using our gold, just as they did with the Philippine Islands. The states paid Hawaii handsomely for their land, close quote. Why are you having people do Declaration of Naturalization Act of July 1779 when there's no such thing? How many have done this blindly under your direction without comprehending what it is? Just answer the questions without more deflection, please. Thank you. I told you this is how Anna rolls. She cannot answer a direct question. If you ask a question directly and ask for a direct answer, and an answer that it's not that she doesn't know the answer, she can't answer the question, because if it does, it's totally against everything that she's pontificating to keep the money rolling in. Because that's all y'all are doing, is just giving her fucking money. Stop. Okay? I'm showing you. This is everything. Here's the websites. Go to them. Go email this right here. Here's the link. Go email her. Anyone reading this can see that I have in fact answered your question several times already. Lie. The author replied, isn't a statement, assertion, a claim? Regardless of how you wish to deflect, where's the evidence, records, and receipts of your assertion, statement, claim? Again, about the Hawaii being purchased, with gold. Do you live and contribute to Hawaii, Anna? If not, why do you keep telling a Hawaiian to leave. Of course, Hawaiians are not acting as an American, silly goose. It's because Hawaiians are not Americans, just like Chinese are not Americans, and just like Africans are not Americans. Why are you having people do direct declaration of naturalization act of July 1779 when there's no such thing? How many have done this blindly under direction without comprehending what it is? Why do you keep deflecting instead of answering the questions regarding your claim? Thank you. I don't have a claim, as I've already told you. I have better things to do than to repeat myself. You are not acting as an American and don't understand what we are doing or why we were doing it. So please leave. Okay. So you understand Anna. You can overstand her like I do. It's all about the grifting, the con, the money. Keep sending Anna your money. Keep believing that you're an American state national, that you have some fucking sovereign immunity from everything, that you're going to be out of the system. I'm showing you over and over and over and over and over and over and over. You're getting labeled. You're just like, you might as well go get you a can of fluorescent paint at Lowe's or Home Depot. Okay. Take all your shirts, your jackets. I want you to lay them face down on your bed. And I want you to draw a bullseye on the back. Because all you're doing is making yourself a target for domestic terrorism. Y'all keep fucking around with Anna Von Reitz and David Lester Straight and Christopher Allen Hauser, all of these admitted sovereign citizens. These people opened their own mouth and said we're sovereign citizens. And that's who you're associating with. Stop. Where's the public record of your claim? Where are the records and receipts you claim to possess? And again, she's asking about this. Where's the receipt that Hawaii was purchased with gold from the Queen of Hawaii? And I tell you all, go read Hawaii by James Michener. Go read Texas by James Michener. Go read all his books that he did on the states. They're fantastic books. Great, great, great reads. How historically accurate are they? I have no idea. But I did watch the movie Hawaii that was a make off the book, and it's the book. Read the book. Why are you having people do, same question? She's, repeating it over and over and over. You are the one deflecting and pretending that I haven't answered you. This childish time waste is at an end. See, this is how she does. She turns everything back on you and cuts you off. It's all your fault. Victimization, blaming others. That's called blame shifting. Failure to accept responsibility for your own actions. That's the sign of an addict. That's a behavioral characteristic. The number one for an addict is blame shifting. Failure to accept responsibility. Number two. What you got? She's addicted to the money, folks. Hook her up. Y'all are doing great for her retirement. That woman will have not a want in the world. I have no idea why she's living in BFE, Big Lake, Alaska. She should be living in like Miami and rolling. Rolling all the money you guys are sending her. She's just stocking it away. Going, Larry Thucker born every day. Hey, oh yeah, more money. More money. Don't check the mail yet? We need more money. Is it Monday yet? Because I need more money. That state coordinators meeting hooked up? We need more money. That's what she's doing. Oh, we need to set up this bank because we need more money. I told y'all, only fool I see. Why do you keep deflecting and attacking instead of answering the questions? Why are you promoting top-down democracy? The only no is that no, you don't have proof that of your claim that the landmass of Hawaiian Islands was sold to the U.S. government by your queen for gold. Doesn't that make it a false claim? Thank you. Well, actually makes it hearsay, which isn't admissible in court of law. So we've addressed that elephant in the room. All right. And so Anna decided she's going to take the bait and reply and not put this childish game to an end. You are an unreasonable troublemaker who doesn't take no for an answer, even when it is fully and reasonably explained, and who obviously has a completely different agenda than anything pertaining to the Hawaii Assembly. Why shouldn't they kick you out? Do you think that you are offering some kind of benefit to the organization by constantly rabble rousing and going off half cocked and getting into trouble with local police and then blaming us? This effort is about self-governance and learning how to self-govern and how to act as a prudent man or woman for the good of something higher than themselves, and about a public duty to uphold public law, including the constitutions. It isn't about being willfully ignorant, selfish, and tediously combative. Please just go away and find a place, an organization where you do fit right in. I have suggested the local district-based assembly as a good match for you. And the author replied, no to what? What are you saying or doing other than defending wrongdoers and promotion of top-down democracy for Josh, the coordinator, to remove anyone who has a dissenting voice and asking questions? Do you know the meaning of republic? And of course, Anna took the bait again. No, and in any case, that is not what I am saying or doing either. The author replied, we're only on page 6 of 36, folks. Don't people make claims at a court of record while persons complain, whine at a commercial bank administrative court? Isn't your statement a claim? If not, what is it? I'm not making a claim. I'm not operating in the commercial realm or under commercial law at all. That is part of the problem with you. You are so used to the old system of things that you parrot things and make assumptions based on that completely different foreign system, a system that we Americans don't choose to live in. So listen, all she's asking for is, hey, you allege that you have a copy of a receipt from the transaction between the Queen of Hawaii, which was an independent sovereign nation at the time, a kingdom or a queendom, in the United States of America, the government, federal government, that when they made this transaction to purchase Hawaii, to incorporate it into the United States as a territory and then a state, that the record of that transaction is possessed by Anna von Reitz. Apparently, the author states that Anna has made this claim that she has this document, this instrument, or these records. So she's asking for Anna to produce these records. And you see Anna's reply. This is how Anna rolls. For all of you out there, okay, in these assemblies, for Anna von Reitz, I've told you folks over and over and over, you're in a cult. You're brainwashed. Is your ideology correct? Yeah. Hey, I got in the Texas State Assembly because I thought I heard a bunch of like-minded people that, I've experienced corruption in the state government and the county level and the city level. I know what it looks like. I can prove it. I can show you case after case on the record in case law. Okay, in the public record where I can show you, there's corruption right there. That's where they lied. Here's the case in Westlaw. See what it says? Here's where the court, there's opinion, where they totally miscited the case on purpose. I can show that. So I understood that. I got it. I'm like, oh, yeah. All right. Well, this sounds like something I want to be involved in. Then I found out who Anna was. And I was like, oh, no way. Bye. Yeah. And I couldn't wait for next Wednesday to roll around so I could resign, step down, and leave this crazy thing, whatever it was, and run as fast as I can, as far away as I can. That's what I did. And I encourage everybody to do the same thing. You're in a cult, you're going nowhere, you're going to spin your wheels, you're going to waste your time, money, and energy. And if you give your money to Anna and her bank, you're never getting it back. You'll never get your money back. Okay. She might give you these little gold certificates or whatever else that she's peddling, but you're never, ever, ever going to get your money back. Okay, so we went through that. Author wrote, whoever makes a claim has the burden of proof. You claim to have the records and receipts. Why not produce the evidence and put an end to it? Thank you. Then, of course, Anna replied, the land mass of the Hawaiian Islands was sold. Okay, she just copied paste that. If you want to claim that Hawaii is a kingdom and not a state of the union, which seems to be your assumption, you will have to buy back the land or get the rest of the people to agree with you. Until then, Hawaiians are Americans in the exact same way that Minnesotans are Americans. So again, she did not answer the question. She deflected it. She went totally off topic and made a claim that clearly has not been made by the author. Okay. Hawaii was a kingdom prior to the United States taking control over it. Absolutely. Now, was it just a straight transaction? You know, here's gold for land in your kingdom, and you're going to waive all, royalty rights, indentures, debentures, and all that crap to the United States government. Was it clean like that, or did the United States go in, do some kind of treaty, and, of course, default on the treaty like they do with everybody? And Anna says she has the records to all this, the records and receipts. That's what she keeps harping about. Where are the records and receipts that you claim to have? And of course, Anna can't answer that question. And this is what happens when people start asking the right questions, they get excommunicated. And Anna will go through this for a little while, and then she'll get tired of it, and then she'll contact the state coordinator, and then boom, she'll start blowing up the assembly, start throwing chaos bombs in there. Does all this sound familiar? Oh, okay. And let's see. Okay, and then she doubled down with a back to back. All of it is a matter of congressional record, and it started in the last 3 decades of the 19th century, culminating in later annexations and accommodations, the last ones being in the 1920s and 30s. I have the records and receipts at home, and they will be brought forward as part of the settlement of the World Trust. I don't have the bulk of that with me as I travel, and you will not find it easy to dig out by yourself. But if memory serves me, the first blow to the Kingdom of Hawaii came the same year that they formed the first municipal corporation of the District of Columbia, 1871. Start there. The author wrote, I'm looking for evidence that the land mass Hawaii was sold to, same thing for gold. And then Anna replied, you will have to look in the kingdom records, not the congressional record, the kingdom records. Where did she just tell her to go look? There are archives in Hawaii. Obviously, I am not in a position to trot around the islands and figure out where those particular records are for you. So you'll have to do that paper chase yourself. Hold on. Didn't Anna say she has all these at home? But she's on the road all the time. Doesn't appear to be she's on the road all the time. She does her Mondays every night. She's in the same place, same time. I don't hear her about traveling anywhere. You would think she would be doing all these appearances and doing videos about it. Oh, hey, I'm over here in Minnesota with the Minnesota State Assembly, right? Wouldn't you think? Or I'm here in New York, meeting with the governor of the Central Bank of New York, right? Wouldn't you think, as the fiduciary for the United States of the unincorporated United States of America? Make sure I rephrase that and get that correct. All right. So, as she deflects and tries to lead the author on another bogus rabbit trail, I have been told and have seen direct evidence myself that you are not claiming your birthright status and not understanding what a state assembly is. I have been told, hearsay, and she's seen direct evidence herself. Mistaking us for a democracy was the final straw. If what you What you want is a democracy. You belong to the U.S. District Assembly for your district in Hawaii. You don't need to be snarling at us and interfering with us for what we are trying to do. The author wrote, we've found no records, and if it's public records, according to you, why don't you share, provide proof of claim? Why the secrecy? Josh has already unlawfully censored, muzzled, removed those he disagrees with. So, are you abetting, promoting such behaviors? Isn't that the same as dictatorship, democracy? Thank you. And again, she asks the same question. Where's your proof of claim? Okay. This is what she did. Anna buddied up with Joshua, okay? And she used him and abused him to put out people like this author and totally just create chaos in the Hawaiian Assembly, and then eventually got rid of Josh. And now Josh has no friends because all the people that were really aligned with Josh, he shamed. You see how this works? You see how Anna divides and conquers? She's a shill. She's set up to divide and conquer, to distract, to lead you all off what you really need to be. I'm telling you, folks, listen to me. Get involved with a political party. Create your own political party. According to David Straight, there's 300,000 of us across the United States that are, like real patriots that know the truth, want to know the truth, understand what the government really is, because we really have no federal government. They've sold us all out. They're just a bunch of, except for Marjorie Taylor Greene, everybody in the federal government is a money laundering criminal. That's it. End of story. I'm done. She's the only one ready to get on the House floor and have a fist fight. That's what I'm looking for. She's the only one. She's pissed. I don't blame her. I'm pissed too. You know how much $1.2 trillion is? I did the math. There's roughly 340 million people on estimate, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, in the United States as of a couple days ago. You divide 1.2 trillion by 340, I think it's like 341, 342 million, you get roughly about $3,500 per person. Per person. That includes that baby that was born yesterday in the hospital. That 5-year-old who just started elementary school. They're liable right now for $3,500 just for this 1.2 trillion that we just gave away. So what does that make our total debt? We're up in 38 trillion now, plus the 17 trillion in liabilities for U.S. bank deposits via the FDIC. Where's this money coming from? How can this thing sustain? Why would any other country want to use the U.S. dollar for anything when they just like print it up and give it away? We're just going to borrow it until, I don't know, how much longer can you borrow money like that? How many U.S. Treasury bonds and Treasury notes can you actually sell when everybody else knows that, all you're doing is just, hitting print on your printer. And it's just worth the paper it's printed on. Seriously. I mean, really? Wake up. I hate to get off track, but, we are talking about the fiduciary of the unincorporated United States of America, are we not? The one who's responsible for all the. See how I did that? Let's dive right back in because Anna, of course, has a reply. It's a fact. Look it up in your own records there in Hawaii. My records are in a lawsuit. See how she has an excuse for everything? Blame shift, blame shift, blame shift. What'd she do up here? Blame shift. What's she doing down here? Blame shift. She's such an easy target. And it blows my mind that there's so many people out there still to this day, March 26, 2024, stuck on stupid. Absolutely. You folks who still fuck around with Anna are stuck on stupid. Y'all still fucking around David Lester Straight, stuck on stupid. Christopher Allen Hauser, stuck on stupid. Patrick Marino, aka Lone Wolf, stuck on stupid. Yeah, absolutely. So I have told you this on. My records are in a lawsuit. That is where they will stay until the case is decided. Okay. That's hogwash. That's garbage. Bullshit. False. I have told you this 3 times. Are you hard of hearing? Well, you're not talking, Anna. You're writing. So are you hard of seeing or do you not read? That's the question. I'm recommending that Josh bar you from the assembly for disruptive, irrational, combative behavior. I thought Anna had no control over the state's assemblies. I thought the state coordinators had no control over the assemblies. I thought they voted like a democracy. Isn't that how it works? If I remember correctly, when I was nominated to be a justice, I'm pretty sure we had a goddamn election. For sure. And majority rules. There were some naysayers. I don't know who's telling the truth. All right. So, as Anna attempts to kick out the author from the assembly, unless you provide proof of your claim that Hawaii lawfully sold to America, which you have failed to do so for 5+ months, let's go probably 4 years. How can Americans lawfully sit on the Hawaii Assembly? Isn't that like claiming that Americans can sit on the Japanese or African Assembly? Aren't those all living in Hawaii called Hawaiians and those living in Texas called Texans? Where do you get the authority to tell me who, what I am, and am not? Do you have a superior claim over I? How are people who ask legitimate questions a problem in liability? Should we all just follow your lead without question when people who are papered up, credentialed, and placarded have already been kidnapped and cars stolen? What kind of help are you giving those who have been harmed by following your lead without question? What happens to those who obfuscate, deflect, lie, censor, mislead? What's the American Assembly's role? Where is your proof of claim that, again, on the Hawaiian Islands transaction, please provide evidence that the states paid Hawaii handsomely for the land? That's it. Show your proof, Anna. Proof is in the pudding. And again, Anna replies, no, you're not. If you are not claiming your birthright as an American, you don't belong, period. Period. So you're not a Texan. You're not a state national. Okay. You're an American now. So are you an American? Are you American state national? Are you state national? Are you just an American? Or are you Hawaiian? Or I'm confused, Anna. How does this all work? I'm mind fucked. You've word plagued me to death. I'm spell casted. I'm under a spell. Get it? Are you confused too? That's how Anna wants you. Confused, gullible, receptive, moldable. All right. You may be a member of the U.S. District Assembly. You might be a member of the Municipal District Assembly. But unless you get your poop in a group and claim your birthright status as an American, you don't belong in the Hawaii State Assembly. Also, if you're going to insist on being a problem and liability to the Assembly, they have every right to deny you access to their meetings and to disavow your actions. You don't magically become princess or a dictator to anyone else by virtue of being classified generally as a Hawaiian. If this isn't clear to you yet, it should be. Author replied, I am the Hawaii Assembly and I am not seeking anyone's permission. This is the true meaning of the Republic, self-governance. Who's arguing? I've asked questions that are never answered, only obfuscation, deflection, gaslighting, dismissiveness. Aren't the ones forcing people in the assemblies to be papered up with meaningless declarations, jumping through endless hoops, and just to get kidnapped and their property stolen Democrats? Please just answer the questions without gaslighting. Number one, where did you get the idea that I'm trying to resurrect the Hawaiian kingdom based on monarchy, when I've stated on many occasions that I don't support monarchies, oligarchies, democracies? I am self-governing. Number two, where's your proof of claim that, again, the landmass of Hawaii was sold to the United States for gold from the Queen, et cetera, et cetera? Please provide evidence that the states paid Hawaii handsomely for the land. Do you read Hartford Van Dyke's book about what happened at Pearl Harbor? His uncle was a first-hand witness. I don't know what all that's about. Number three, why are people directed to do their declaration according to this template when nobody comprehends what the Naturalization Act of July of 1779 is, as it couldn't be found? Number five, what kind of protection is, well, I can't wait to read the answers to these. What kind of protection is afforded to those who are papered up, credentialed, and placarded when they are getting kidnapped and their property stolen? What's the procedure for holding court of record and those with claims? You recommended that they press charges in which court? The de facto court? And how can people have any rights in the de facto court? Don't we already know how that'll turn out? Is this your website and services you provide? Expertinalllegalmatters.com. Isn't it, number six, isn't it akin to the one world order or new world order to insinuate that all independent sovereign countries should identify as Americans in order to be free to control their own landmass? Wouldn't that void their sovereignty and independence? This is from Terry Soms to Anna von Rights. This is apparently what you're seeking, usarepublic.net. That's about, this is to the author, CC. Now Terry Soms going to step her little hot mess in the middle of this. What a troll she is. I agree with Terry. You, G, don't belong in the Hawaii Assembly. You clearly don't have a good grasp of the group's purpose or agree with the basis of membership in it. You want to argue all the time about everything. You repeatedly mistake us for the state of Hawaii democracy. You seem to have a chip on your shoulder and persecution complex at the same time, that you want to go out and pick fights with the state of Hawaii, and then use our assembly as a shield and excuse your belligerent activities, and all without bothering to learn enough to be able to defend your assertions of rights. Well, let's go back to two words, Anna. Bruce Dissett. Then you want to come back and blame us for your wrong-headedness when you and your pals get arrested. Hang on. I'm looking for answers 1 through 6. Y'all see any answers 1 through 6 here? That's what I'm looking for. Remember, I was looking forward to reading the answer. This isn't going to work, G. The best solution for everyone concerned is that you leave and go join the State of Hawaii District Assembly. You want to fight and you want to deal in democracies and codes, so go hop to it. Reform them from the inside if you can, because no one is going to reform Anna von Wright's Federation of States state assemblies from the inside out. Only corruption. You've been warned year after year after year by Fearless Floyd. And I guarantee you next December, we're going to have another video conversation about all the shit Anna told y'all all year was going to happen and never came true. It was just another carrot Anna was dragging through the septic tank that you dove into the septic tank, swam through to get the freaking carrot, never got the carrot. Now you're stuck in a septic tank. Was that a good analogy? I'm not going to tell you what you're surrounded by. Pretty sure you can get a good visualization yourself. So the author replied, who said anything about dual citizens? Republic is the spelling in 1755. Why is there so much deflection? How many people did the Declaration of Naturalization Act of July 1779? What exactly is it? Do people actually comprehend it, or just do what they're told? Why are questions usually met with deflection and ultimately told to get lost? There's only the General Assembly for Hawaii. There's no right or wrong. We welcome all people who promote justice, honor, freedom. That is aloha. And of course, this is to Terry Soms. from the author. In a republic, how can strong assemblies be built using democracy mob rule, where people are forced to be papered up and or do the non-existent Declaration of Naturalization Act of July 1779? Dissenters are centered, vilified, and removed, effectively quashing their voices while wrongdoers are protected and supported. Does this sound like a republic to you? Worse is giving those who are papered up a false sense of security with the credentials, placards, etc., without instructions on how to safely interface with the law enforcement officers so that people don't get kidnapped and their property stolen. Isn't this irresponsible? I'm sure Melody and others who were kidnapped didn't choose to battle. She just used her credentials and placard, or why else would they be issued if they are worthless? Has anyone used them successfully? We already know the answer to that, okay? You see what's happening to these people. Kidnapped, and what else? They had their property stolen. Okay? So if that's what you want, keep playing with those folks. From Terry Somm, to author and Audubon Rights. As I stated, you need to wisely choose your battles if you choose to battle. Our preference at this time is to educate, inform, build strong assemblies. That is the recommended path. From who? Audubon Rights. This is to Terry Somm. This is from the author. We have little enforcement. You stated a fact. If there is little enforcement, then what good is being papered up, credentialed, placarded? If it is wise to maintain the corporate plates on your automobile, then why get the placard? In fact, is this false sense of security setting people up to be kidnapped and their property stolen? Why are those who are papered up not able to discharge debts, nor have any rights different than those who are not papered up? Hawaii County is populated. What is the procedure for holding court for trespasses? If there is no remedy nor enforcement, what is the point of being papered up? I'm asking legitimate questions that are not answered. It is important, particularly when people are being harmed. How is this stubborn? Isn't it just common sense? Mahalo, sorry. And Terry Somm replied, see, this is where Terry sticks her little peanut brain and everything. That woman doesn't have the brains. She lost her house to Sign in America, Audubon Rights' debt discharge program, and then broke into it after it was sold on the foreclosure sale, rehabitated it with firearms and other people, and parked their cars in the driveway that had American state national license plates on it. And when the new owner who purchased her foreclosed home legitimately and lawfully came to check out his new property, guess what? The old tenants were still there. He had to call the sheriff, the sheriff brought out the SWAT team. Okay? Yeah. They had to literally blow the front door off the house with explosives to extract Terry Somm. So that is the idiot right here who we are talking about, who wants to add her little 2 cents to this conversation, which she has no business being in the middle of. You are being stubborn, not seeing the bigger picture. Stop for a moment and think about it. Look around you at the mass psychosis that is taking place on this entire planet. You have to pick and choose your battles. And if that one is the one you choose, it's up to you. This is all about self-governance. But don't come crying to the assembly because we are still getting our shit together. All right? This is in 2020, folks. They're still getting their shit together. They've never had their shit together. The only shit they got together is the little graft that they've got going on to steal your fucking money. That's what they got together. We have little enforcement. Oh, no, they have a lot of enforcement. It's called Anna von Rights or Adolf von Rights. Okay, because she's always rights, right? We don't need to deal with brush fires. We need to move the masses to come home. Where is home? What is home? Prove it's home. That's what she's asking her. Think about it. Meditate on it. Ask your angels, teachers, and spirit guides about it. You're a liar, Carrie. I did. All 3 of them said you're a liar. Ask the kahunas. Ask the spirit of Hawaii. Be open to the truth of answer. I can just hear her say that. This is from the author. Mahalo for your reply, Terry. What's the point of getting placards, credentials, etc. at this point if it takes a year to train the law enforcement officers and sheriffs. A year from when? Where's the de jure court of record, and what's the procedure to file claims for trespass? What is the recommendation for Melody and those facing similar issues of trespass? Thank you. Right? You tell us to do all this, we got to do this and that, and then we do it, and then boom, we get in these circumstances, and there's some severe repercussions. And how do we deal with that, Anna? Anna, 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 Anna. Oh, she answered, but deflect, blame shift. All right. This is from Terry. May I please remind you that Anna has stated on numerous occasions as of late that it is wise to maintain the corporate plates on your automobile. Okay. This is what Anna's saying. Put those American state plates on your car and run around with them. You can display your placard along with the corporate plates tab, but you should keep them in place. The training period for getting the LEOs and sheriffs is 1 year, a 1 year time frame. All right. This is in what year is this? 2020. When did the kid get shot in Utah by the cops for having American State National license plates? That was last year. How long are you going to take to do it? Right here. The training period for getting LEOs and sheriffs is 1 year time frame. Hey, guess what, Terry Soms? You've got blood on your hands, woman. So do you, Anna. Because you knew then that this was a bogus procedure. You knew then that these plates should not be on a vehicle. You knew then that they had no authority. Yet you continued to pontificate that they be on your vehicle, and that you would have the law enforcement officers and sheriffs up to speed in a year, which would be November of 2021. Let's just be generous and say January 1st, 2022. It's March 2024. And guess what? The law enforcement officers and sheriffs and constables and marshals, they don't have a fucking clue. They see American State National. Guess what the first thing they think? Sovereign citizen. Uh-oh. Domestic terrorist threat. I need to get my firearm ready. Got blood on your hands. Terry, Anna, absolutely. That kid's death is on your head. I'm putting it on your head. The whole community should put it on your head, because there's your statement right there. This is a fucking lie. That's a lie. How do I know this is a lie? Who was the chief of the peacekeeping task force? Eric Dingus. Who appointed him? Anna von Reitz. How many interviews have I done with Eric? Tons. Aha. And we are live. Anytime you want to jump on, Christine. You're muted. So y'all beware of technical difficulties. Waiting for it. There she is. She's unmuted. You can hear me? Oh, she muted herself again. And remember, folks, she's probably being hacked as we do this on multiple fronts. Can you hear me? There you are. Hey! You're muted again. Can you hear me? You're muted. Remember, folks, this took about 48 hours of planning to get this video to you. That's why I had to just get on and run with it and wait for Christine and hope for the best. So here we are. And actually, it's 7 minutes after her deadline. So thank God I stayed on late. We can thank Anna and Terry Solms for that because without them, I'd probably run out of material. You gotta love Anna. Microphone. Yeah, you're still muted. Okay, you're unmuted. You have low bandwidth, of course.
What? You can't hear me?
I can hear you now. You have low bandwidth, so that's going to play. Remember, we went through this last time.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Nice
Good.
to see you.
Yes, everybody. This is Christine Scott. Christine Scott currently has litigation pending
Okay.
in Florida Circuit Courts, Florida Appellate Courts, as well as the United States Supreme Court. She currently has a mandamus pending in front of Justice Clarance Thomas, who's over that particular circuit, which covers Florida. And I'm going to let her talk. So there's her introduction. So tell us what's new, what's good, what you got going on, what you need.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And, and I don't even know where to begin. Editing something right now, potentially going on right now. Uh, in Palm Beach County. And as you noted it, which has to do with essays relating to whether or not we can get case law, arrest law good enough in and of itself, or can the FBI, CIA, other three-letter agencies, DARPA, block our access? Can they block a case that you need? Can they take out particular words that you need to build your case? So let's say that you need something from Marbury, um, and they've taken out certain lines. Can you trust online data, or do they have the ability? And I know that they have this ability, actually, and I've had this happen to me. The ability to remove things definitively, yes, I've seen them do this. I've seen them take out statute. So I went and I looked up a statute. First, I looked it up in a book. This was back in 2018 in my first lawsuit. And it was right there. It's exactly what I needed. Then later on, a few days later or something, I went back and I was going to get it online, right? Because it was easier. It was there. I knew what I was looking for. And the line that I needed had been removed. So it no longer worked for my case. Now, had I not first seen it in the book, I wouldn't have known that this was removed. I would have just thought that I couldn't use the statute. And because of this, it is a that we have access to the physical are absolutely essential. Is it coming through? All right.
I'm getting it broke up, but I know on YouTube they're probably getting it clean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
Zoom has
Um,
some people get low bandwidth, and I'm sure you're being suppressed on your end anyway, so that's adding to it. But yeah, for the most part, you're coming.
okay.
So basically, what you're
So
describing is denial of meaningful access to court.
Right. Pro se's are a unique group of people. Um, we're willing to write our own lines. We're forced into that position because we can't hire an attorney, or in some cases, no attorney will take the case, even if you have funding for it or you can afford to pay for it yourself. No one will take the case because they're afraid of losing their license. In the case of election fraud cases, it's a very serious problem. They don't lose their license over it. This is their livelihood, say, or not doing the lawsuit at all. And then you have to make a choice. So those who make a choice to move forward with the lawsuit pro se, I think tend to have a little more gumption and willingness and might be a little more daring, simply because of how difficult of a task it is. Maybe it's not that difficult for other people, but for me it is. There's a lot of, when I'm able to find other pro se lawsuits, a lot of times they're incredible. Now in Florida, the clerks have gone in these new websites that they're building, and they're in a lot of ways blocking your access from seeing other lawsuits. And so it's difficult to find like examples from other lawsuits of how to write it, or how other people are presenting it. And what I have seen, though, by pro se's, for the most part, have been well thought out and just fabulous work. And I can see where judges don't want to deal with that, where lawyers don't want to deal with that. Judges are lawyers, okay? At their core, at this point, a judge has to be a lawyer. It can't just be a person. That didn't used to be the case. It used to be an elected individual, not necessarily with a law degree. That has changed. And so when a judge looks at you, he's looking at a person who is potentially taking away time and money from another lawyer who could be handling the case. And so there's a resentment issue against the pro se in that way. That makes that judge biased. He or she doesn't have the right to be biased. It harms your ability to have a fair case, a fair trial. Impartiality by a judge is absolutely essential to have a fair case. So it's a constitutional right that you have an impartial judge. So when they're looking at you from behind the bench going, I don't want to deal with you. You're taking money from these other lawyers or their time, or I should just not have to deal with you. All of a sudden you've lost your constitutional right to a fair trial, or you haven't actually lost that right. That judge is violating his oath of office. He has an obligation to treat you fairly, to give you a fair trial, and to not be biased in his mannerisms or in his thought process that could harm your case.
Be impartial.
Exactly. It's one of the things that we're dealing with. And then you have lawyers who don't have respect for pro se's. And they also, it appears to me in the cases that I've been in, often have ex parte communications with a judge. They seem to be a team often. So like in the DeSantis case and in other cases that I've had, if the lawyers aren't very good at what they do, the judge just takes over for them.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, in the state of Florida, and it's illegal, I'm sure, federally as well. But in the state of Florida, it's called entering the arena. And a judge doesn't have the right to enter the arena. Once he's done that, he is advocating for one side or the other. And at that point, he needs to be disqualified. The problem you have is that he won't disqualify himself. Now, there are laws in Florida, statute that says that he has to. All you have to do as a litigant is state that you have a fear that you will not have a fair trial, and you state your reasons. It doesn't matter if the judge agrees with it or not. If a reasonable person would feel that under those same circumstances, you wouldn't get a fair trial, then he needs to step down. The problem is that judges don't step down. They remain on the case.
It's classified as the appearance of bias or prejudice. It's just the appearance. Doesn't even have to be actual.
Right. He can't judge that.
Yeah, or a conflict. Yeah, that's the apt term, the proper legal term. That's all I'm doing is giving the proper, correct legal terminology so they can follow along. You're giving a good general layman's definition, which, I've got 12 years in the gutter. So it just comes natural to me. I don't even have to think about it.
Nice.
All the stuff I've forgotten. That's what you're going through is, you're not the Lone Ranger. It's not systemic to Florida or your local jurisdiction in Florida. This is system-wide. It's happened to me. I went through this with the Texas Health and Safety Code, filing an emergency writ of habeas corpus for emergency protective custody for chemical dependency treatment pursuant to the Texas Health and Safety Code, because in Texas, if you're incarcerated, the only way you can get chemical dependency treatment is be granted parole. And once you're granted parole, then you are assigned to chemical dependency treatment. So if you're locked up you got to do 15 years flat to come up for parole, during that 15 years, you get no chemical dependency treatment, period. You just languish there for 15 years going, I guess I'll go get my master's degree, if you have that kind of gumption.
Did you get your master's degree?
Yeah, no, I chose to fight to get out. I went and got a Juris Doctorate degree and then some.
Nice. Yes.
Well, I had 7 years to sit there, to come up for parole. So do I go get a degree? And, I found the error in my case because they didn't meet all the elements of my offense in the complaint, indictment, charge to the jury, and actual guilt and innocence phase of the case in chief. So without that, they never proved that I was, actually charged with a felony, only a misdemeanor. So when I found that, I was like, okay, cool. I got it. I'm out. So I didn't think I'd have to fight 12 years for not all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Yeah. And that's what it looks like when you do a direct appeal from your conviction, and then you go through the state post-conviction remedies, and then you go through the federal post-conviction remedies, and then writ of certiorari or actual innocence claims. I did all of that in mine. And that's why I tell everybody, I've been there, I've done it, I've published, in precedent. That's when the court determines that your case was sufficient enough that everybody should know about it. And that's when you get published. I'm published. She can testify that I guarantee you, Christine's going to agree with me when I say the majority of all the pro se litigation she read is probably better than most attorneys that she has read.
Yes, by far. It is so impressive.
Yeah. And then there's that other little portion that's just 100% garbage, sovereign citizen bullshit.
Honestly, crap. I didn't see anything like that. I only saw, and I didn't see a lot of it, but what I did see was incredible.
Phenomenal work.
Very. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I already know. Yeah. And when the courts see this, and the judges, clerks, and their paralegals, legal secretaries, the ones who actually process your paperwork behind the scenes for the judge while the judge is out there adjudicating his caseload, they see it and they're like, oh my God, this they don't have a bar number, they have a prison ID number. Oh, we can't let this person win.
Yeah.
But you're reading it and you're already above them. Just, by the way it's written, structured, the cases you're citing, the organization. And that's why when I read your paperwork, I was like, ooh, I'm impressed. I see somebody who's put their due diligence in and the hard work. Because when I wrote my writ habeas corpus, it took me 3.5 months of wake up, type, go to bed, wake up, type, go to bed, wake up, type. 7 days a week, all day, all night, 3.5 months. Indexed, authority, footnote, whole 9 yards. Same, looked identical to yours, except mine was 400 and something pages total with the application.
And you did this from jail?
I did this in prison on the John M. Wynn unit. Yes, ma'am.
And when you filed it, did it go through? Did you win?
Oh, yeah. Well, I filed it back into my criminal district court with presiding judge Mark Kent Ellis, and pursuant to Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 1107, the clerk is required to accept it. The state has 15 days to reply. The clerk has an additional 20, or the court has additional 20 days to enter any findings of facts or orders. And on that 35th day, if the court hasn't done any action, the clerk's by law required to forward it to the Court of Criminal Appeals, which is the highest criminal court, for review. So they held on to mine over a year and a half. They sat on it while I'm filing writs of mandamus to the Court of Appeals, Court of Criminal Appeals. You can go look at my record. It's, I've got.
So who sat on it? Was it the clerk who sat on it?
The Harris County District Clerk's Office. Illegally.
And so they had 20 days, but they sat on it for a year and a half.
They have 35 total. The state has 15 days to answer or not. They don't have to.
Right.
And the clerk has, or the court has 20 additional days to act in whatever they want to do. They can, I can file a findings of fact, conclusions of law. I can file a rebuttal to the state answer because they're answering my petition. So I can do a rebuttal to that. I can do whatever in this 35 days. But if the court doesn't do anything, the convicting court doesn't do anything, the clerk, required by law, send everything to Court of Criminal Appeals for review. But instead,
so it's ministerial.
Right. And they sat on it for a year and a half. Finally, when it did go there, Court of Criminal Appeals read it and remanded it back for a finding of fact, conclusion to law, and evidentiary hearing for ineffective assistance of counsel pursuant to Strickland versus Washington, which is, had your attorney done something or not done something, that the outcome of the trial would have been different had your attorney done or not done that particular thing, whatever that is. Call a witness, get a piece of evidence, do an investigation, whatever that looks like. File a motion. I don't know.
Let me back up just a little. During this year and a half that they sat on it, did the clerks give you a reason for that? Was there some kind of process that they were justifying it by?
I'm filing motions, mandamuses, you name it. I threw.
Hold on, and your motions are, hey, something needs to happen, or what are your motions?
You're a violation of the law. And when I finally did get my evidentiary hearing, the court ordered it to be done in 120 days. So I'm sitting in Huntsville, Texas, in the John M. Wynn unit. I get this card saying you're remanded back for an evidentiary hearing to the Harris County Court, and they have 120 days to conduct this hearing. So I'm like, I'm going back to Harris County. I'm going to get my day in court, because now I'm an expert in DWIs. I'm an expert in standardized field sobriety tests, all three of them, one leg stand, walk and turn, horizontal gaze, nystagmus, the whole freaking 9 yards. I've got the book on everything. I'm ready to go to trial. I'm ready to smoke these. When I say smoke these hoes, I'm ready to steamroll them, because now I know where all the bodies are buried. I know what they're talking about now, because when I went through trial, they're talking about horizontal gaze nystagmus, all these different degrees of nystagmus, and I don't even know what nystagmus means at the time. But now I'm an expert. I can tell you every cause for nystagmus. Even prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, illegal drugs, you name it. Yeah. Head injuries, it goes on and on and on. So I finally think I'm getting my day in court, man. I'm just, waiting to catch the chain, come back to Harris County for my bench warrant to go to this evidentiary hearing to get my then disbarred attorney, he's still disbarred, to come back in and provide finding fact, conclusions of law. Well, I was ready for a retrial because my arresting HPD officer had been terminated because he was pulling over DWI suspects. And one of the ones that he pulled over, he downloaded all her nude photos from her phone, her device. And then at trial or during court, he's showing everybody in the court her nude photos while she's sitting up in the front of the court. Yeah. So
Wow.
he got fired. Yeah. So
Good.
I'm ready to go back to trial. I can't wait. I'm just like foaming at the mouth. So this was like August when they issued this order. So about December, I should be, between there, I should be going back. So it's December. I'm like, man, why ain't I
Now,
back?
it's supposed to be 120 days, but December is more like 180, right?
Well, no,
Is that
from August to
September,
December,
October, November,
close to,
December?
about 4 months.
Okay, okay, fine. So you're
Right.
good. You're good on time.
Yeah. So I'm getting close to my 120th day. I don't really know which exact day it is, but I'm just rounding it off that, hey, the deadline's in a week. I should be in Harris County, not in Huntsville, Texas, in Walker County.
Okay.
So I was filing motions in with the trial court. They were freaking, ignoring all of those. So then I started filing in the Court of Criminal Appeals. Well, under, I believe it's Article 11.52 or 54, that gives you the recourse for somebody who's disobeying the writ of habeas corpus. So what I did is did a motion for capias because anybody who disobeying the writ of habeas corpus, a capias can be issued by the court, criminal appeals, to have any law enforcement officer or peace officer in the state of Texas arrest that person and bring them before the court to answer why they're disobeying the writ of habeas corpus.
Now, who was disobeying the writ of
The
habeas
judge,
corpus?
the judge, because he wasn't following the order of the Court of Criminal Appeals to conduct the finding fact conclusion law evidentiary hearing for ineffective assistance of counsel.
Within the 120 days.
Exactly. So
Okay.
120 days expired. Okay. And I sent notice to the court, the court clerk, the Court of Criminal Appeals clerk, Troy C. Bennett at the time, the court itself, the Chief Judge Sharon Keller, as well as the staff counsel. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And I get a card back, either a card or a letter stating that my writ of habeas corpus has been dismissed without written order, not denied, dismissed. There's a difference. Okay. So instead of addressing my motion for capias, because I clearly proved with the evidence that this judge is disobeying the writ of habeas corpus, and okay, here's your legal responsibility and duty, what you're supposed to do, but I'm asking you to do it. Instead, they just dismiss my case, so they have no jurisdiction over it, so they don't have to follow through with a criminal complaint, because they have a duty when anybody makes a criminal complaint to any elected or appointed official that they have to take action. They just we're all Republicans. We're not gonna mess with a Republican judge down in Houston, Texas, behind this, this prisoner doing 60 years in prison. We're just gonna let him live there. If he wants to refile this writ of habeas corpus, yeah, we'll deal with it later. And that's what they did. They dismissed it, so I can refile it at any time. And it's just through my own negligence, I have it halfway done to go back and refile it. So that's on me to do that due diligence. I just haven't done it in years.
But is there a reason to do it? It appears that you're not in jail.
No, I'm out on parole. I'm on parole.
Okay, because it would get rid of the parole.
Yeah. Which, parole's nothing. All I do, I call into my PO every 2 months and, hey, nothing's changed. Still here. Know where I live. Got my phone number. If you need anything, call me. Okay. Yeah. 2 months. Okay, bye. That's it. No big deal. Go pay my fees. Do what I'm supposed to do. End of story. It's really no burden, except, I do have, restrictions like I can't leave Texas. I can't leave the United States. Got to have a travel permit, that kind of thing. So, as far as limitations, that's really it. Other than that, pretty much do what I need to do when I need to do it. No
So
problem.
back to it being dismissed,
Mhm.
what options are you presented with at that point? You said you can go ahead and do it again.
I can refile it. But at the time that I wrote my writ of habeas corpus was I got convicted May 22nd. of 2002. In 2006 is when I filed my writ of habeas corpus. Okay? I stopped litigating in 2012. So you can see from 2002 to 2012, that decade of my evolution and learning in law. Same thing you're going through. You're still learning every day. You learn and learn and learn and learn and continue to learn.
Yes.
Stop learning. It's stupid. So at the time that I wrote this, I knew what the errors were. I knew what my relief was, but I didn't quite know how to package everything together, condense it. So I had 108 grounds of error when I really should had maybe 6 or 8. But I broke down those grounds of error, like this is how many times that particular error happened. I've got 32 different instances of this happening. And I was
Did
able
you
to,
have to did you have to handwrite it? Because you're
uh,
in jail.
I typed it.
They have
And
typewriters in jail?
yes, they used to have Smith Coronas, and then they came out with Smith Corona word processors that held like maybe 10 megabytes of data, nothing really, a couple paragraphs, maybe a page or 3.
Oh,
They even had some that had the old floppy disk in it, but when they figured out that, these writ writers are using these to, mass produce litigation, become paper terrorists, they quit selling those. And then they went to some Chinese made garbage. But during my stint, my 14 years and 2 months, I went through 31 typewriters.
31 what?
Typewriters.
Oh, typewriters. Wow.
30. Yeah.
How does that happen?
You use them till they break.
I didn't even know they could break. And you have to buy a typewriter? They don't have like a typewriter room?
No, they don't. Well, you can send them out to get repaired, and then you got to pay for them. You got to pay for shipping, you got to pay for it to get repaired, or you can just, find one somebody else's that broke and take theirs and salvage the parts off of it and make yours functional again. So I used predominantly Smith Coronas the whole time, until the very end when they become, very hard to find because, people kept salvage them and, refurbishing theirs that they got ate up. So I always had a spare under my bunk for parts. So, I'm rolling. I got a deadline Monday, just like you. I can't afford my laptop to crash. So,
Right.
yeah, boom, my motor goes out that, processes my paper, moving it forward. I got to dig in, replace that motor. 15, 20, 30
Okay.
minutes later, I'm rolling again.
So, and forgive me when I say jail, I know you said it's prison, and
This prison.
so I'll probably make that mistake again. So forgive me with that.
Uh,
But when you were in prison, there's a law library, or you made
yes.
mention in your video, that in your reply video to mine, that you didn't have a law library, that you had to ask for legal work, legal cases.
Okay. I can. Here you go. Here's God honest truth. Back in 1982, when they were building the George Beto unit in Tennessee Colony, Texas, I had I don't know. I was handpicked out of a new chain of people coming in by what we call an inmate politician, and that's an inmate who's working for the man, the warden, the assistant warden, field major, whoever, who has a lot of pull and make things happen. Gave me a job in the law library. So at that time, I was able to go to the main control picket and check out the brass key for that door and open it and put myself in the room and lock the door behind me. And in
How
that,
long could you go in and study for?
I didn't study. I was the law library clerk. I was the law librarian. There was no officer assigned or anything like that. I was it. You wanted a question, you came and asked me. That was in 1982. Okay. and I had it rolling on that unit. I was a politician. I worked for James Andrew Collins. Many of you may know the name Andy Collins. He's a former director of TDCJ, executive director of TDCJ. At the time, he was the assistant warden under J. White Walker. And I worked for Andy, and Andy wrote me an inter-office communication IOC basically stating Floyd P. Tarvin the 4th, 336255, can do anything he wants on this unit at any time he wants. All access, do not go to jail. Give him $200 and ask for a cheeseburger on his way back from the food service. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, if I'm hungry, look out, boss man. 3 row, 12 cell. Tarvin, he's out, go to food service.
Okay, I feel like we've gotten slightly sidetracked. So back over to this.
So anyway, back to the law library, what that looks
yes.
like. Okay. So law libraries today, they are not purchasing the pocket parts. The books are still there. They're not updated. Okay. So they're not getting new volumes. So like when the update pocket part gets so big, they got to order a new volume to condense it back to one volume without a pocket part, right? You've seen this over, right? They don't order a new book. So all the new case law that should be in that volume, you have to know it, okay? Or find it elsewhere in another case, because you can't go to Texas Digest, you can't go to Supreme Court Digest and use that in the key codes because there's no updates. You have 0 updates. You don't have access to what they use is they use the Westlaw Online CD-ROMs that are issued quarterly. So you're already 3 months behind with case law from the jump.
I have to tell you, switching over to my experience with the case law, the law library that I wrote that case in had actually gone and thrown out the Supreme Court digests or registers to Supreme Court case law and the Florida case law registers. They threw them all out.
Supreme Court reporter, that was talking about? Because there's a digest set and there's a reporter.
The reporter.
Or both.
So all of the opinions,
wow.
160 volumes or so, right? And then all from the beginning of time. And then all of the Florida, it's like called the Southern Reporters or something. And there's 160 of those or so. Threw them all out. Now, this was case law that I was using because I was going back to the original case law. It seems like as time goes on, things get shadier and shadier, and a little more whacked out as we go. So I started looking at more earlier case law, okay? And a lot of it's still good. It's never been turned over. It's great case law. And so that's what I was using. And it was as though their knee-jerk reaction was to throw those books out. Now, it was probably totally or maybe totally unrelated. I don't know. But I no longer had those books and I couldn't find anything online. When I go on to Westlaw, now they don't have discs anymore. It's just all online, right? So it's probably automatic updates and all that kind of stuff. And so everything's instantaneous. But I could never find what I was looking for online. When I was doing this application to Justice Thomas, it would take me all day to try to find something in Westlaw. It wouldn't come up. And what that basically means, so let's say you've got YouTube or you've got X or whatever, and they're filtering certain words out, or they're filtering, they're using algorithms. Okay, well, they can do that in the case law too, or in Westlaw against case law or statutes. So let's say that they know I'm looking for fiduciary as it relates to agency obligation, okay? Well, they can take out that case law. They can look, okay, what's the best case law on this? They can remove that case law, okay? Or if I need a form to give me an idea of how to file a mandamus. I couldn't find anything like that on Westlaw. So some of this stuff has totally changed. And that those law books that you were looking for, I never really used the pockets. I know that you should and all that, but generally speaking, I really prefer the older case law. It's if it's when it's still valid, and a lot of it is. So you're looking at stuff from the late 1800s, the early 1900s. It just made more sense. It wasn't about corruption and trying, and these judges and lawyers trying to play the system against us. It was about respecting rights and determining, like in a noble, honorable way, what did work for the people and what did not, and what was fair and right and what was constitutional. So I would go for these older books and that old case law. Yeah. Go ahead.
They back then when they wrote their opinions, less is more. They didn't try to, be all this eloquent and be very ambiguous in their answer. And they obviously didn't have a bias towards one party or one political party or one religious leaning, or some gender identification as we're, oddly going through. Yeah, there's just so much now, the corruption, we can just, beat that dead horse to a pulp, but we already know what it is and what we're experiencing. But in the evolution of the Texas law libraries, what that looks now at Texas prison law libraries, the first volumes that they took out were the Vernon's Statutes and Codes Annotated Texas Business and Commerce Code set, which was the Uniform Commercial Code. That was the first thing they took out of the law library. They took all
Why?
Yeah.
And why did they take it out?
Because of filing of fraudulent liens, that offenders were utilizing the UCC1 financing statements and the UCC codes as a form of retaliation against officers, wardens, parole officers, parole board members, parole commissioners, for what they felt was being slighted in some manner. Let's say they got a parole set off or they got a disciplinary case talking in the hallway, something like that. And they would file these fraudulent liens against these folks, like the warden. And, the warden goes to buy a car and, the salesman says, well, we just ran your credit and you got a $2.5 million loan by John Paul Henry, whoever that is. John Paul Henry. And then they go do an investigation, find out it's an offender on his unit that has filed this fraudulent lien. So then he's got to go through a specific civil court process to have that removed. It's a doable, but again, it's litigation. So not only is that so frowned upon in the state of Texas that they put it in one statute and code, but they put it in 4 different statutes and codes: government code, administrative code, civil and practice.
Right.
Government code, civil practice remedy code, Texas Business Commerce Code, and penal code.
Well, it's an act of fraud, right? It's retaliatory and
if there's no security agreement in place, a meeting of minds, contract between 2 parties, there is no security agreement and there is no reason to file a lien. A lien would be fraudulent. And that's what that is. So that was the first set they took out. Then what really sucked is the law library was at. The law librarian is Robert H. Quata Jr., who has now retired, but this dude had a hard on for prisoners. He hated prisoners. He didn't want prisoners to get out of prison. He would do anything he can to thwart, stop, prevent anybody from litigating, didn't matter what that looked like. So whenever we would kind of get an edge on the system, or we found a corner that we could cut to, make our life a little easier, he would go straight to access to court's headquarters, which was overall the law libraries in Huntsville, because we were in Huntsville, and start complaining to the director there. And the director would come out with some new policy, procedure, guideline that would change that. So he got this big idea, why do we need to, keep getting these pocket parts and, get all these books and stuff? Why don't we just have them check out 3 cases at a time. We'll print the cases out and hand it to them in a folder. And that's all they get for the day, for that session, for that 2-hour law library session. Those 3 cases. So if you miss on your 3 cases, you just get to sit there for 2 hours, or wait for
Okay.
counsel so you can leave. So you can
So
put in 3 more cases. All you can get is 3 per day. That's how they.
now let me ask you a question about that. Doesn't that violate your right to access the courts?
Yeah, it does.
Right, because it limits your access to the case law, which limits your ability to represent yourself and to move your case forward, correct?
And I filed a Title 42, Section 1983 civil rights complaint, and as well as a Title 18 USC Section 1961 through 68 civil RICO in Travis County, Texas, for denial of meaningful access to courts.
And who was using? They were using something as an enterprise in the RICO case. What were they using as the enterprise? The jail or the law library? The prison. Sorry, the prison. Yes, I got it. Got it.
The time. But they have this thing like on the federal level, they have what's it called? Something ICOR for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, for the inmates to work for this penal corporation. Here in Texas, they have Texas Correctional Industries. Part of that is they have what's called computer recovery. Computer recovery is an entity on the John M. Wynn unit, as well as one of the women's unit, I believe Hobby unit, where they take all the electronics from all the governmental institutions, as well as colleges, universities, hospitals, etc. They ship everything to these facilities on these prison units, and the prisoners go through there, pick out all the stuff that can be refurbished, reused, resold, sent to public schools or whoever's requesting it, what needs to be scrapped and what needs to be salvaged. Okay. So as I got assigned there when I was on the Win unit. So I'm watching all these monitors and hard drives and keyboards and mice and all these other electronics, just, printers that are just out of ink. They still work, but it's cheaper to buy a new printer than it is to buy ink. So they scrap the printer. So I'm looking at these pallets of printers that they're just out of ink. I mean, pallets and pallets and pallets. We're loading tractor trailer semis, pallets of these printers that they're just out of ink, and selling them for $0.05 a pound. Square business. So I got this epiphany that, well, why am I still checking out books in the law library? Why do I got this big stack of legal books I got to carry back and forth from my cell to the law library or to litigate with or to mail out? Why can't we build an intranet within the system through access to court headquarters that branches out to all the law libraries, that runs on intranet with a firewall, that we can have access to Westlaw or LexisNexis online in real time, that we have a firewall that we can communicate with the courts and every licensed bar attorney in the world, right? Or any court. And we can go back and forth. So we don't need to go through legal mail. We don't have to do all that. We don't have to possess all this legal mail, because all they have to do is put in a little thumb drive. And at the time they had CD-ROMs. That was the highest technology. And you could put everything on CD-ROM, all your cases, all your case law, your books, everything just on one little disc, instead of having, like me at one time, 8 freaking commissary bags full of legal material. Okay. I mean, just ridiculous amount of legal work. All in one CD-ROM. So I filed this lawsuit that, hey, here's everything. You have all the inmates, because you're doing the Microsoft A+ certification program. They're making them all, they're building systems, IT systems, certified, whole nine. I'm like, there it is. Why don't we just create this system? So I filed a lawsuit to have that done. So because the law librarian hated me so freaking bad, he withheld one of my filings for 17 days, one of my legal mailings. TDCJ policy only allows a law librarian to retain legal mail for 72 hours. They have to return it to you. They can't hold it any longer than that. He held it 17 days. For a injunction hearing that I had, I was in the academic library uh, at the Win unit in this little backroom office, nothing but a desk, a chair, and a telephone. Okay. That was it. No water, no nothing, no supervisor, nothing, just me. I'm on the phone with Travis County Civil District Court, I forget which number, the judge, Assistant Attorney General, court reporter, and Robert Quata. And we're having a hearing for this injunction. And I'm trying to get him removed from handling any of my legal work. That's all I want. Just, hey, boom. There's other officers in here who can handle my shit. I want this dude out of my business because I'm suing him. He's not even supposed to be looking at anything of mine, not even touching it. I mean, he should be like, that's a violation of court rules, right? So
sounds a little biased. You can't have someone you're suing handling your stuff.
Exactly. So
right.
The judge found that there was no actual harm because, I didn't get time barred or my case didn't get dismissed or some type of legal injury due to him holding it. Although he did admit, and it was acknowledged, he violated TDCJ policy, the judge not only overruled my motion for injunctive relief, dismissed my case. I'm like, dismissed? What do you mean you dismissed my case? On what basis? She was on the civil rights. She failed to say anything about the civil RICO. So technically, that's still pending. It's just up to me to go prosecute. But I have her on the record saying just the civil matter was issued, where the civil rights issue was dealt with. But that's what I went through. I got them on the record admitting they violated my rights and everything. And no, they ain't trying to hear it.
So if you don't have the books and you only get 3 pieces of case law per day?
Strickland versus Washington. I want that one. I want Chronic versus US, and I want.
How do you know?
Marbury versus Madison. I get those 3 cases, so I read those, and then in those 3 cases, I found 3 more cases that I found 25 cases I need. I can only order 3 of those cases a day. So for tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm sitting in the law library right now, so I'll order 3 cases that I need for Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll order 3 cases for Thursday. I'll order 3 cases for Friday. Order 3 more cases for the next Monday, and submit those. So I gotta, every day I gotta go in and read these 3 cases. If they may or may not pertain to what I need or give me some more direction where I can keep this rabbit trail chasing these cases till I find good law, bad law, whatever.
Okay, so Strickland versus Washington.
Sure.
How do you even know? Like, what if you don't have a starting place on cases? How are you supposed to get started with this?
Well, first you have to go back and read your record and what your record looks like. And if you don't know anything about law, you need to have somebody that, has some kind of ideation of what grounds of error are for a direct appeal as opposed to a post-conviction challenge, because they're different. And then they'll break it down. It's like, okay, well, according to Strickland, your attorney was ineffective right here by doing this or not doing this. And then over here, your attorney, it looks like Chronic versus US applies. So you would have to go look up those cases. So you don't have to do the actual site. I think it's 466 US. I forget what page Strickland's on. But you can just write Strickland versus Washington because it's such a common case. It's the standard across the board for ineffective assistance of counsel on state and federal levels that anybody in the law library is going to know that case. Secondary, they'll know Chronic versus US. If they're dealing with ineffective assistance of counsel or Chronic, the holding in that from the US Supreme Court was basically that the attorney's defense was as much as produced as a potted plant. Basically, he slept through the proceedings. Yeah. And they let that go.
Wow.
Yeah. It's astonishing what these courts will do, what they'll say. You never know their agenda, and I'll give you a perfect example of how blatantly obvious the judicial system here in Texas is so screwed up because we have 14 courts of appeals. They're the intermediary between the district courts, which would be on par with your circuit courts, to the ultimate Supreme Courts, which would be the Court of Criminal Appeals on the criminal level and the Texas Supreme Court on the civil level. So these 14 courts of appeals in various jurisdictions across Texas, we actually have two here in Houston, the first and the 14th, first and the last. Those are elected officials. Those are the ones that have to address every field of law: oil and gas, real estate, probate, criminal, civil, crypto, you frickin' name it. If it's in a legal book, they have to adjudicate it.
Right.
And they get elected. So if you run for, justice position 2 for the first court of appeals here in Houston, Texas, you may just be an attorney, licensed bar attorney, but you have no knowledge or experience in oil and gas law. But yet they're fixing to put you on this panel of justices where you're going to start litigating that.
Right.
And you're going to be the gatekeeper between the court adjudication and the ultimate arbitrator, which would be the Texas Supreme Court and the Court of Criminal Appeals. So how does that even work? How do you appoint these people that, they have no specific training or education in all these various laws? Because as you well know, most of these attorneys, when they start actually really reading law that they weren't trained or educated with in their law school, they're like, oh, I never heard of that. I never saw that before.
Right. But you have to learn. I mean, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure I have a problem with that, as long as they're willing to learn and not make assumptions. If they're assuming that they know the law or don't think it matters that they don't know it and just feel they can rule randomly, then there's a problem. But if they're willing to look up the law and learn it, because you can't know everything, but you have to be willing to learn it and hopefully actually then follow it and act on it as a judge. No?
Well, that's a justice position and it's an elected position. So, my own personal belief would be that you would have to, at least be a judge on the, county, local level, before you could ascend to that position, because you actually need the experience on that level for all these different varieties of fields of law that you're going to encounter when you do get to the next level.
You're not ascending, though. You're being elected. So we, as the people, are choosing to let you do that. So let's say there's a lawyer who's like great in oil and whatever. Although the problem, at least in Florida, I think that the level you're talking about in appeals is what we call here the District Court of Appeals, DCA. So you've got the circuit court first, right? That's your lower level. You've got county and then circuit, then district, then the Florida Supreme Court. Right. So where you're talking about, it's the equivalent in Florida is the District Court of Appeals, and those are also justices. And they are elected positions. But they,
I'm sorry about
that. But they don't have a specific area. They handle all appeals, right?
Right.
So it wouldn't necessarily help if they had a specialty in oil or in water. Or in family law, because they still have to, if they specialize in family law, they still have to hear the probate case, or they still have to hear the criminal case. They don't have a specialty there. They're all kind of a jack of all trades. Yes, yes, right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then that's a problem. And, another problem is this patently obvious. Do you know how many cases are actually submitted to the United States Supreme Court for review for their annual term?
I heard it's 8,000. Someone just told me that the other day. Is that accurate?
That's pretty close.
Okay. I wouldn't have known otherwise.
It's on average between 5,000 to 10,000. You can generally average it out, 7,500. How many cases do they actually adjudicate per term?
And I heard this too, but I don't remember. It's either 150 or 300, something like that. 150?
It's about 150 max
Okay. Yeah.
out of
All
which
right.
submitted. So they're doing about 10 to 15%. So
Mhm.
you know the struggle it takes to get to that level, all the bullshit you got to go through. And then when you finally get there to the last court, the last court, they deny you without written order. And you're just a little citation in one of their books, along with thousands of other cases.
You know what? Let me ask you about this, okay? And it's going to relate to the Brunson case. Now, they filed one, right? It was denied. And then they filed another one, and it had a conference date, right? The first one had a conference date too, but that was denied. And then they filed another Supreme Court case, and it was set for conference, I think, without a date. And then the justices went on whatever it's called, vacation sabbatical, whatever it's called when they go on hiatus.
From June to October 1st.
Right. And during that time, when they were in recess, I think that's actually what it's called.
Summer recess.
The case was denied. But they were in recess. So that means that a clerk would have had to deny it, right?
A justice can still do it. They will issue opinions after their May 31st term ends. That's why you see a lot of things come out in June and July.
Okay.
But they're still working on their opinions, putting things together, going back and forth, who's going to dissent. And because they have, I don't quite understand how that structure works internally with the justices, how they, read each other's opinion and then do a dissent, and then they come back and, rebut the dissent and their original opinion, and how all that gets worked out for the end publishing. And as you well know, they do publish opinions, and it's not the one that's actually going to be published in the Supreme Court Reporter, or no, in the U.S. Digest. Okay, one gets published, and then the other one's the actual one that they're going to use. So yeah, it's a weird dynamic how that works, and most people don't know any of this how it works. But my point being is that the current justice system in America is antiquated, outdated, and inefficient.
Well, if it's corrupt, it can't be efficient.
Yeah, but it's, we have to change the whole system. But what we have that exists.
Actually, I think that the system is fine. The system, the structure of it isn't broken. People just aren't abiding by it. When they're not abiding by it, the problem we run into then is that there are consequences when they don't abide by the system. Okay. And no one's following up on those consequences. We can't rely on, for the video that you saw of mine, where the deputy said, "I'm not taking the report." It's like, wait a minute.
Accountability.
Right. Well, they're just not doing their job. And so if you've got a lack of accountability in the judicial judicial structure or branch, how are we supposed to move forward? It's not the system that's broken. It's a lack of enforcement of the system. The system works fine. I like this, how it's structured. I don't want to change our Constitution. I like our Constitution. Every law that exists legally is based on the Constitution. And there was a lot of thought put into it. I don't think we're having a problem with its structure. I think we have a problem with accountability when it's not being followed.
That, and the problem that case law has been corrupted as well.
Not the old stuff, although they're throwing away the books where you can find the old stuff. Right. You can use.
I'll give you a perfect example. Okay. and this is my own experience that I did. Y'all can look this up. Alan Wade Johnson versus the TDCJ, Texas Department of Criminal Justice. He probably sued Brad Livingston, was I think the director at the time. So it may be Johnson versus Livingston. It was filed in Walker County, the 12th District Court. It was dismissed for failure to state a claim for which relief may be granted with prejudice. It was appealed to the 14th Court of Appeals here in Houston, Texas. Alan filed his appellate brief. The state filed their rebuttal. And Alan Wade showed up in the law library and brought me a 2-foot stack of material saying, Floyd, I already know how to deal with this. And I'm like, what's up, bro? He goes, read this. I'm reading the state's rebuttal. And I'm like, okay, well, what about it? Because you know the case, right? And I'm like, yeah, this is your DNA case for the Texas taking, felons' DNA for the DNA database. And he was arguing under Article 1, Section 10 of the Texas Constitution, which states, and I'm paraphrasing, but more or less on point, you cannot be compelled to give evidence against yourself, as opposed to testimony, which is the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution. Because he actually had the St. Mary's Law Journal regarding Article 1, Section 10 of that specific issue. And it goes back to when Texas was being formed by all our volunteers from Kentucky, Tennessee, and elsewhere. When Stephen F. Austin went to Mexico City to negotiate with Maximilian, who was president of Mexico at the time, they incarcerated him and held him there for a little over 3 months. When he finally returned to Texas, he wanted to adopt the Tennessee Amendment to their constitution, which basically parrots the Texas Amendment now, that you cannot be compelled to give evidence against yourself, because he wanted all Texans to have, Texians, as they called them at the time, to have greater protection than the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, which had already been established. So that's what it was for. So Allen's argument was that to give DNA to a database which may be compelled to be used against us in a future proceeding, we're given evidence against ourselves. That was his argument. So he gave me all this information. I'm looking at it and I go, do I got to read all this? And I'm doing my own litigation, got my own shit going. He's like,
Sure.
Fuck. And I get the import of what this case is all about, that this really can make a difference. It can change things. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's about what the law is. That's how I'm looking at it.
Right. It's kind of like now they're doing iris scans.
Yeah. I get into all that. But anyway, so he filed this, and of course I told you what all happened. So I go back, I read his brief. At first I read his petition, go look up all the case law. Everything's sound on the up and up. I'm like, okay, I don't see any reason why this should be dismissed. I read his brief. I go look up every case, every citing he has, make sure that everything's, I's are dotted, T's are crossed, punctuation, grammar, all that crap. So then I get to the state's rebuttal, and I'm start going through there. I'm like, get this one case law, and it's a minor case. So it's Henry JD, I think, are the initials for the minor. They don't put their name in there. So I'm reading this case. So they contested the same thing. They contested that you cannot be compelled to give testimony for the Fifth Amendment, as well as evidence on the Article 1, Section 10 of the Texas Constitution. However, the court only adjudicated the federal issue on the federal Constitution about testimony, never even addressed evidence. However, in the state's rebuttal, the states claimed that they addressed both of those issues on the state and federal level, and that they said this. Well, I found it, and I'm like, oh man, finally, Jesus Christ! It took me a week to go through all this stuff to find it, but there it is. So, I go up to the counter and I give the clerk a couple stamps. Hey man, will you Xerox this case for me out of the Westlaw? Sure, Floyd. Boom. I'll get that. So boom, now I got my evidence highlighted. I've got it framed in the actual traverse to the state's rebuttal. Can't freaking miss this. Alan comes in couple months later. Floyd, read this. I'm like, all right, man. I looked at him, I go, hold on. This sounds like the state's rebuttal. He goes, it is. I go, well, it's an opinion from the 14th Court of Appeal. They adopted it word for word, stamped per curiam.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Word of God. Now,
And did they take it to the Texas Supreme Court?
he argued it all the way up, and they're not hearing it. When I filed that writ habeas corpus for emergency protective custody under Texas Health Safety Code, that was prior to September 1st, 2009. Okay.
Okay.
It's the law in effect at the time of the commission of your offense. That's how the Supreme Court rules, period. That's the law in effect at the time of commission of your offense. Time of commission of my offense, I was pre-September 1st, 2009 Texas Health and Safety Code, which I'm paraphrasing, basically stated any citizen of Texas can get any kind of treatment they want for chemical dependency treatment to become a productive member of society. Okay. And that's treatment, prevention, rehabilitation, aftercare, everything.
Okay.
And
so you were pre that date, so you were good.
So that's what I filed it under. So
right.
Well, first I filed it in Walker County. Walker County wouldn't take it. I filed it in Harris County. Harris County wouldn't take it. Went back to Walker County. Eventually filed it in Travis County. The county attorney for Travis County represents the state in that matter, even though the state is the defendant. The county attorney, okay, in September 1st, the Texas legislature rewrote the Texas Health and Safety Code.
Okay.
Law September 1st and completely changed it where they don't have to give you rehabilitation, prevention, and all that. So when it came time, by the time I get into, actual litigation and the county does their reply, they cite the new law. So I counter with, oh, no. I'm under the old law. What's this clown doing? He's totally being disingenuous with the court. He's lying to the court. You need to hold him accountable for lying to the court because he's applying clearly law that doesn't apply to this case because it's brand new. And what did they do? Upheld him. Why? Because Texas Department of Criminal Justice has roughly over 100,000 current felons incarcerated in their penal system. Statistically, through their own records, 70% of those 100,000 offenders have a bona fide chemical dependency, which means 70,000 convicted felons would have recourse and access to petition to be bench warranted back to their counties for chemical dependency treatment because the state wasn't providing it because they had to wait on parole and be assigned to it. So they wouldn't let me win. There's another one. So this is the problem because the case law is corrupted. The law may be right, but the case law is corrupted. And what are they going to go look at? The case law. Because they lied, they cheated, they corrupted the case law. So we can't go back to case law and go, okay, yeah, that follows the law over here. Obviously, it's corrupted. I just pointed 2 instances of corruption. I'm sure you can point to them as well. Just like you say, you can go to Westlaw Online and that sentence that's in the book is not there. It's like you're going through the Mandela effect in real time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. And as far as election fraud goes in the state of Florida, so there will be an argument and okay, how much was it? $17 million of Zuckerbucks came. Do you know what Zuckerbucks are?
Yes.
Okay, fine. came
And by
into
the,
the state.
by the way, let me make a caveat. Because of the topic that we're currently discussing right now,
Oh,
this
yes.
video is not going to be remaining on YouTube. It'll be on Rumble, Odyssey, Facebook, and Telegram. So go find it over there. Okay. I can't leave it on YouTube. It'll get taken down. I'll get a strike. Sorry, but that's just how it is. But we can continue. You can talk about anything you want.
Okay. So Zuckerberg put $419 million into the elections nationwide. In Florida, he put 17 million in. Okay. So this is outside money. It's his and his wife's. The money came from his wife is Priscilla Chan. She's a Chinese national. You never lose your Chinese citizenship. Even if you're an American citizen, the Chinese don't let go of you. You're always a Chinese person. So
Property of the state.
China has a active war doctrine against the U.S., right?
Mhm.
And so China is our enemy, literally. And so Zuckerberg is married to a Chinese person. That's fine. But the money came from Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. Okay. So this is an outside entity that is funding our election, $17 million worth in the state of Florida alone. And it's just illegal to do that. But what they did was they ignored the fact that it's illegal to take money from an enemy state, China, an enemy country that claims to be at war with you. And they said, oh, we'll do a law. We'll create a statute that says you can't take outside money. They didn't have to create a law because it was already law that you can't do that. But the way that they work around the laws that exist and they choose not to enforce the laws that exist is by simply saying, oh, we'll make a law. So they ignore that these laws don't exist. It's one of the problems that we have in the lack of enforcement. And when you have all of these corrupt entities working together, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You know, it's a clerk and a judge thing. It's a lawyer and a judge thing. It's a lawyer and a clerk thing. It's a corporation thing and a clerk thing. Then you have this big goulash of corruption in our system that just simply makes the whole system non-functional. And they turn a blind eye to the obvious. Well, what are the laws that already exist? And do they apply to this case? So the $17 million that Zuckerberg gave to the state of Florida, it was not legal for that to happen. But instead of addressing it, they went around and created new law. So some of the laws that they're putting in are put in for those reasons. A lot of the laws that they put in are to block citizens. It's not appropriate to do that. It's not legal to do that. In a lot of cases, it's just straight up unconstitutional. Welcome back.
Yeah, my dogs to go in and
nice.
out. She's confused.
Yeah.
What, baby girl? Ah. Well, you want to play or something? I'm doing a video. You're gonna have to wait. Give me some time. I'll be with you in a minute. She gets jealous. If I'm on the phone, she'll come over here and start nosing me. So, what's going on with your case? Let's talk about that. Let's let's have a status hearing.
So I filed it in application to Justice Thomas. Okay. And I filed it with the 11th Circuit. Now, I have read that a justice, now I know that they file with you can file with a justice, okay, a Supreme Court justice through your circuit. But my clerk is telling me that you can't. In fact, okay, and I know this isn't true. I know it's not true.
Clerk of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, U.S. Court of Appeals?
Yeah. She's telling me I can't. That what she told me is Justice Thomas is in DC. I'm like, yeah, but he's still the 11th Circuit Justice, and I'm in Florida, and the 11th Circuit handles Alabama and Florida and Georgia. And he is the Supreme Court Justice, the Associate Justice of my circuit. Exactly. And I can file an application to Justice Thomas within the circuit.
Yep.
And I've seen case law that says that a circuit justice, and that's not a circuit judge, but a circuit justice, who is your Supreme Court justice for that circuit, can hear cases in that court, okay, in the circuit.
Absolutely.
So it was totally legit to file it there. And she's saying, no, you can't do it. We're not hearing. I got a response back from an opinion from a judge. I filed this with Supreme Court, with Circuit Justice Thomas, okay?
Right.
And a judge responded, 11th Circuit judge. That is not appropriate. He has no jurisdiction in the case. He can't deny it.
He's a third-party interloper.
On an order. He can be a third party if he wants to enter as a party. He can't do it as a judge. But if he wants to enter the case as a party and intervene, I'm guessing he probably can. But he didn't do that. He stole Justice Thomas's case, basically. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. And he responded and he filed an order denying my forma pauperis. Yes. Okay. Well, he didn't have the right to deny that. Who is he? He's not involved in my case. This case is before Justice Thomas, Circuit Justice Thomas. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I filed a notice saying that he had no jurisdiction and that this case was before Justice Thomas and that I had a right to file in the 11th Circuit to Circuit Justice Thomas. And they said, no, you filed that wrong. The clerk said, you filed it wrong. You have to file this as a motion. And I responded and said, no, this is a notice. I am notifying you of the fact that this judge has no jurisdiction in this case. This case belongs to Justice Thomas and only Justice Thomas, and no one else can hear this case or has the jurisdiction within the circuit to hear this case. It was a lot longer than that, but that was the gist of it.
We only wish it took that long.
Yeah, right. And
that's weeks and months put into like this little statement. Yeah.
Yeah, actually it wasn't, because this was the response. Okay, the video that you saw was me filing this. They only gave me 14 days to file a response. Okay, so I didn't have, or maybe it was 21 days, but I only had a set time frame. And I called the clerks and I said, I need more time to be able to file this. And is it likely that you'll give me an extension of time? And she made it pretty clear that no, it was very unlikely that I would get an extension of time. So forget it.
Don't listen to them. File them anyway. This was my strategy. Okay. And do what you want with this, but this is what I did, because obviously you're behind the 8 ball. You're trying to learn on the curve.
Right.
So, obviously you want instantaneous relief, but yet you don't want to make a misstep or miss something because you just didn't do your due diligence or didn't have time to do your due diligence. But what I had to do is keep filing, delay, 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 doing motions for
No,
time.
hold on. There was no, I only had, I think it was 14 days
Yeah, I
to
get it.
file a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
response.
They're
So
just
it
like,
wasn't
boom.
about due diligence. I mean, it was simply about
No, no, no. Yeah.
writing.
But what I was doing was, every chance I could get 90 more days so I could keep learning and researching, I would ask for
Right.
90 more days. But I understand what you're trying to do. You don't want this to drag on to 2025. You
No,
want
no,
relief in
not,
2024.
no, not that at all. Actually, this was, he filed an order. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So there's, if someone files an order, you have a certain amount of days to respond to the order. And I could be totally wrong. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong on this. And it's a learning process if that's the case. But
Right.
you have, like, if you're going to file something in response to an order, you have like 14 days or something to file that response. So that was the time frame that I had. And you have
Right.
you
The
could
15-day window.
try,
If you
yeah,
want
but
notice
that's
of
it.
appeal. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I wasn't doing, well, this wouldn't be a notice of appeal because it's in the same case and it's to the same judge. And there isn't really somewhere higher to go because it's to Clarence Thomas. Okay. And it would, so, and he can take it to the Supreme Court or he can handle it himself. If you file it with your circuit justice, he can rule on it himself, or he can choose to give it to
Filed
the,
what? What are you describing? Filed.
I filed an application with Justice Thomas, who is my circuit justice.
Right. The application for informa pauperis or
Well,
what's it?
that's part of it. No, I filed the election fraud case. And as part of that, you file the informa
Uh,
pauperis.
right. I'm looking for the title of the vehicle you filed. Did you file writ of mandamus, writ of
It
cert?
was a writ of it was a writ of cert.
Okay.
Okay, so the process was, and you did your initial um, video on the writ of cert. Okay.
Right. Writ of
And
certiorari.
then the clerk, I'm assuming it was the clerk, sent me something that said that I had to file a writ of mandamus. And I believe I had 21 days to do it. Okay. So that was all the time I had. Now I had filed a writ of cert, and that's what you're supposed to file. But I assume that their filing or their instructions were coming from Justice Thomas because that's the only legitimate source it could come from. Okay. And I actually liked the fact that they had suggested I file it as a that'll work. He speaks sign language, doesn't he?
She knows sign language. Hang on, let me deal with her. Keep talking. I'm listening.
Okay. So I like that they said to file it as a writ of mandamus, because with a writ of mandamus, a judge can then order a government official to take a certain action. That's within the right of a writ of mandamus. So while I couldn't have filed my writ of cert as a writ of mandamus, the justice had the right to switch it to a writ of mandamus, which he did. I was under the impression. And so then I only had like 21 days to rewrite my entire writ of cert and turn it into a writ of mandamus. It's a different thing at that point. Okay. So a writ of cert is an interlocutory filing, which means that the case is still open and it's based on an open case. Okay. And I filed this saying, hey, look, I can't get a fair trial. This case is open and the judge is refusing to move it forward, and the first CCA won't look at it and And so it's just open in limbo down there. And so I need to bring it to you because I don't have another choice here. And so I did it as an open case. Now, the instruction I got was to file this, refile it as a writ of mandamus. Now, a writ of cert, you have 40 pages. A writ of mandamus, I believe you have 30 pages. Now, I needed it was only 37 pages, my writ of cert. The writ of mandamus had to be cut down to 30 pages and had to be rewritten entirely or in large part because it's asking for something different. Okay. You're now asking the court to order certain people to take certain actions. Okay. So, and it has to be a government official. So the court can order a government agency or head to take certain action. Okay. So this was if they asked me to rewrite it. Now, some people are saying, oh, you can only have writ of mandamus for a judge, a lower court judge, to take a certain action. That's not true. A judge can order from what I've read, from the case law I've read, can order an official to take a certain action. And this is what I'm like, okay, fine. I see why they would then think this is a better avenue and why they asked me under these circumstances to rewrite it as a writ of mandamus.
Right. So that's basically what you're doing is you can't get any relief from the Florida courts, the state level, and you're not getting it from the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. So you have to go to the next highest court, which is Justice Thomas, which is over that circuit, to get him to intervene to order the Florida state courts to either take action or remove the case from the state courts into the federal courts for adjudication under due process, correct?
Well, in the mandamus, it says that the judge can order a government official to take an action.
Exactly.
Okay. So I rewrote it for that. Okay. And you've got, so what happened after I wrote it and I filed it on time, and I didn't have enough time to write it because of the lack of access and fair and equal access by the law library. They needed to treat me as they would any judge or lawyer. They have 24 access. They can go into the law library and work on their case. You can't go in for just no reason, just because you want to go in. That's not going to work. But if you have a case, you have the right to be there and to study and to work. And they let lawyers do that. But they don't let pro se's do it. And that's not right. I needed more time to study. I couldn't finish it on time. There just wasn't enough time in the day. And it's not fair to block a pro se from a fair trial. So after I sent that in, and the structure wasn't the problem at all, the clerk then tells me that, or not the clerk, the judge in his, and not the justice, but the judge in his order says that I have the
11th Circuit.
He's a judge in the circuit, but I didn't file it.
The 11th Circuit judge. I'm just keeping track of judges
correct.
We're talking about because we're on the state and federal level here. Okay.
Correct, but it's like a county.
Was he a magistrate or a district judge? Do you remember?
No, he's a judge. Like I guess I don't know. He's not a district judge. He's a circuit judge.
Circuit judge. Okay, so he's on the Court of Appeals. All right. Okay, my bad.
Right, but you don't get to. It's like a county judge taking a circuit case and writing an order on it. Well, he's not a circuit judge. He can't. He's a county judge. It's a lower level judge. Nothing wrong with a county judge, but he can't do that. So in any case, I get an order from him saying that I didn't have the right to file a mandamus. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that it wasn't the right structure. But it was the clerks, and I thought it was on behalf of Justice Thomas, who told me to write the mandamus. So they're telling me to take an action. I'm taking the action. And then they're saying, well, you took the wrong action. It's like, I didn't have a choice. You told me to take this action. Okay.
Right.
So,
Set you up for failure.
right. Well, they don't get to do that. No, they don't. And that is an abuse of power. First off, if this didn't come from Justice Thomas, then what the clerks told me to do is an act of fraud. Okay. And that docket number is docket number 9. And initially, I don't think they ever put it up. So they emailed me with it and they made it so I can't access the dockets. They would send me stuff from it. And it's docket number 9. Yeah,
Number
no.
9. That didn't even sound right.
Well, in your case, on the docket, you have docket entry numbers, right?
Oh, docket entry number. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was docket entry
You're talking
number
about the
9.
docket sheet. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if there's an order by the judge or the clerk enters something, it has to be on the record. Well, they didn't put it on the record. They sent it to me, didn't put it on the record. Okay. And it wasn't until I gave the notice of filing to that judge's fake order. It's not fake, it's a real order, but it's a real fraudulent order. It's an act of fraud. He cannot write legally.
Order is fraud. It's counterfeit. Has no jurisdictional authority.
Right. So it's an act of fraud.
Yeah.
Right. And if the clerks were acting as if on behalf of Circuit Justice Thomas, again, an act of fraud. If they hid this from him, okay, he oversees that. He has the right. You have the right to file with him. Applications are filed there, and you can do that. Okay. And so if they hid that from him so that it wouldn't move forward, that is an act. It's more than an act of fraud, but it's certainly an act of fraud. So at that point, who do you take that to? You should be able to take it to the DOJ since it's federal, right?
Right.
Well, I think we're having problems with the DOJ right now. And even at a state level with some of these things. So when I had problems with the recording that you saw, and when I was having problems with them letting me use the law library, okay,
right.
I went over to the state attorney's office and I said, hey, I'm having a problem here. This is blocking my access to the courts and I have stuff I have to file. They don't have the right to do this. I need you to address this. And they're like, well, you have to take it to deputy. And I said, I did take it to the deputy. And the deputy refused to take the report. So now I'm coming directly to you. I know this isn't standard, but I also know that I can bring it directly to you. And you can investigate this. And I need you to. And I have evidence. Well, they wouldn't take it, you know? It's not the laws that are the problem. It's the lack of enforcement and willingness to enforce the laws that is the problem. Now, down in Palm Beach County with my first case, okay, I had a judge who was brought into the case and he was not acting within the law. So I went and I wanted to file a criminal report against him with the deputies because a judge is not allowed to break the law. Now, there is a difference between misconduct within a court case and breaking the law. So let's say the judge doesn't like how I rule or how I file something or I argue something, and he takes out a gun and he shoots me. Well, he's not allowed to do that. The sheriffs can come in and they can arrest him. Okay. Sometimes you have to keep things really simple, right? And this is one of those things. It's not something that happened within the case. The guy broke the law. He happens to be wearing a robe. It doesn't mean there's no immunity here. Okay. I know I hear this stuff about judicial immunity. It's not true. And the Supreme Court has ruled that it's not true. Every judge must know the law. The Supreme Court says that if a judge does not follow the law, it is trespassing on the law, and it's an act of treason. This is what the Supreme Court has ruled. How's your dog?
Well, I got her this little stuffed mallard duck, and she's been tearing the stuffing out of it. So well, it actually had a little horn in it, and she ate that out of it. So I stuffed it with a t-shirt, and she wanted to play, so I threw it, and now it's like I don't know, about 40 different pieces all over the room floor. You had fun with your duck, huh? So I have to go buy her a new duck now.
There you go.
Yeah. What, baby girl? I know your duck, you tore it up. That's your fault. I told you not to tear your duck up. I gotta go restuff it for you so you can play with it or get you a new one. Where's your chicken? Yeah, go get your chicken. Oh.
Yep.
Say hi,
She
everybody.
is.
Hi.
Aw.
Ow. You want to play? I'll put
Maybe
it
we should call it a day.
Yeah. It's actually 5:43. I've been on. How long have we been on here? A couple hours. I know I have. Started at probably 45 minutes before
We
you.
started at 5, so yeah, we've been doing it for like an hour and 44 minutes or so. Yeah.
And I was on a good 30 minutes before that talking about Anna Von Reitz.
All right.
Her crazy shenanigans. Okay, well, when do you want to do this again?
I'm open. I'm glad that we were able to figure it out, and I'm happy to move forward with.
We can do the same thing again. Just hit me up. I'll send you the link and lay in wait for you.
Sounds good. Love to do it. Look forward to it. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you again for your dedication, service to America and all of us.
You too.
All
and
of
thank
us.
you for having me.
Oh, no. Thank you. Thank you for being there, and thank you for doing this, because I'm sure nobody's patting you on the back and giving you the accolades that you so justly deserve for doing this, because I understand what it is to fight for everybody. And, you're fighting for ungrateful people, people are going to treat you like crap, talk about you, disrespect you.
I do want to say something.
Sure.
Although we have a lot of corruption in the system, it isn't the entire system. And the people who are good in the system, man, they have a hard time staying above water. So I was petitioning at one point, right? And I had a right to petition. And in Palm Beach County, the Palm Beach County Police Department, Sheriff Department's lawyers sent out a memo to all of the police officers or deputies, excuse me, and said, do not arrest on property that's open to the public for petitioning. So if you're at a supermarket or Walmart or something like that, it says do not arrest. Okay. And they sent this out to every officer. So they read the law. I've been having problems. It would depend on the officer. Some officers would leave you alone, some wouldn't. And it was like, okay, well, here's the law. And they weren't clear about it. And so they finally put out this memo. Okay. Well, it appears that certain officers don't really care about the law. Okay. And so they wanted to go against it and make a point. So they went against the memo and against the legal advice of their own sheriff's department. Okay. And it kind of, so they have their own internal battles. And we have to know that, because these guys who are good in there and who want to do the right thing,
they have to keep their job. They have to keep their benefits, their pensions, their family depends on it. I get it.
Yeah, but they're fighting on our side, these good people. And it's not that they're willing to do the wrong thing. It's that when they hear us not back them, they feel it. They're people, they feel it.
Sure.
There's a huge there's an internal fight of the constitutional police officers and the unconstitutional police officers, but there are good constitutional people in there. When I was petitioning after that, okay, after that memo came out, there were officers who came out and they would watch. They would watch to make sure that I did it legally and that, you know, I wasn't doing anything that you weren't allowed to do. And you could see their pride because they were abiding by the Constitution. They were abiding by the law. Okay. And they had that leeway, that memo helped them. Okay. And that is, we need these guys. These are the good guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Have to have them. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And law enforcement as well. You know, I understand what the position they're in. You know, they're not trained. They don't go to law school, so they don't know what the law is. They only know
they have to know what the law is. The Supreme Court has ruled that every citizen has to know what the law is. And so every officer, every judge, every lawyer must also know the law. They are obligated to know the law.
And that's
I don't think it's about that. I think we're having problems where, you know, they round corners off and they cut a corner here and they cut a corner there. And all of a sudden there's no corner left to cut. They're just not following laws at all. You know, it's like, okay, this isn't, you know, structure of law. And the ones that we keep need to be retrained. These good cops who want to do the right things, they just need to be retrained. And they need, okay, a refresher course in this is the Constitution, this is law, this constitutional law, this is what we do. We're not bouncers. You know,
they're
that's
supposed to learn that when they go get their criminal justice degree. And here in Texas, the #1 criminal justice university in the state is Sam Houston State University in Huntsville, Texas, and it's the George Beto Criminal Justice Center. And where did we hear George Beto? Oh yeah, I used to be on his unit. Who married George Beto's daughter? J.Y. Walker, who was the warden at the Beto unit when I was there. And he's still a professor there. And he's the former executive director of TDCJ. And he had 2 units named after him at one time, but they renamed the second one. I forget what they named it. But yeah, back to that.
whether or not they learned it at a university, it
They
is
don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
okay, but whether they do or not, it is the sheriff's duty to ensure that his deputies follow the law. And so they can have training courses in, you know, procedure in how they move forward with things. These are, you know, the corrupt ones we don't want. And the good cops, they don't want them either. The good deputies, they don't want them. They make their job very difficult to do. You know, so
yeah, I get it. Tough job.
Yeah.
No doubt. And they definitely need to you know, restructure the training academies and how that looks. You know, be more humanitarian than law enforcement. How I look at it. So they're dealing with a lot of different facets, and not everybody should be a cop, even though you may qualify to be a cop.
Yeah, no, it's not the right job for everyone.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's I
Their
couldn't even
motives,
be a cop now, especially in New
their
York.
motives matter.
Yeah, it sucks. Okay. Well, yeah,
Right.
that's a whole nother topic we can get into and on. You're in Palm Beach County, correct?
I am actually in Broward County.
Right.
I'm currently in Palm Beach County. When I would petition, I did in Broward and Palm Beach County. So, depending on where I was petitioning, it would depend
You're in
on if I was in Broward.
Pompano, right? Are you in Pompano Beach?
Deerfield Beach.
Deerfield, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where you're at now. I am currently planning, but I'm definitely going back to Puerto Rico in the next 45 days.
Oh, fun.
I'm just trying to, yeah, but I'm probably going to have a layover in Florida. Well, I usually do.
Cool.
And it's either in Orlando or Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
Okay, cool.
So like I looked at one flight, I had like a 5 hour layover, I think in Miami. That was one, but I'm not going to take those flights because the dates were wrong. But I may have a layover. So I have a
Well, if it's in Fort Lauderdale or Palm Beach County PBI, let me know.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll reach out to you. Definitely like, hook up, maybe do lunch, dinner, whatever.
Very cool. Love
Yeah,
to. All
absolutely.
right.
Cool.
All
Thank
right.
you, Christine, for being here, man.
Thank you. All right. Take care.
Oh, before I go, do you need
Yeah.
any kind of support, assistance, donations?
Yes. If people want to go to buy me a coffee, buymeacoffee.com / Christine Scott. I think it's Miss Christine Scott. Uh, that'd be great. I
Send it to me.
definitely need.
I'll put it in the description below for you guys. So I'll
Fantastic.
have her email that to me and I'll put it in the description. I'll re-edit it after the video. So yeah. Well, I thought about that earlier today, man. I know how it is to sit there and fight and you look up in your locker and you got one ramen soup and you're just about out of instant coffee and you ain't got no money in commissary.
You know, um, I've been having problems with the FBI and the CIA since '08. And if they want to come after your life and destroy it and utterly gut it, they do. So I just fall into that category. And I plan on fixing it because it's inappropriate. And it just takes time. It seems like we have to fix all of the problems
Well,
to be able to fix that.
there's few and far in between of us, and the ones that actually have the audience that should be doing things, just are not doing the right things, not putting the right narrative out there.
It's easy for three-letter agencies, for DARPA, and that kind of stuff to go in and block that access, block them from doing the right thing. People who are saying the right stuff, doing the right stuff, they don't want those voices out there. And so it's easy for them to try to block those voices,
Well,
you
it's not
know?
so much block them, it's just uh focus the narrative where they want it, not where it should be.
Sometimes.
Addressing, I'll just Mickey Clan and the whole thing over there in Maricopa County. That's a big nothing, but yet it
It's
went
a
by.
false flag. Is that
uh
what you mean? It's a
no.
misdirect of look
uh
over here, not over there.
it's something that should not have happened and shouldn't be happening due to all of the circumstances behind that, because I'm just I've researched it. I understand what's happening in Maricopa County and who runs Maricopa County, and out of every county in the United States, that's not the county that you want to go sticking your nose in, because there's I'm just going to be conservative and say there's probably a $1 billion criminal enterprise flowing through Maricopa County. And if you try
Well,
to
doesn't that,
that and shut that off, you're going to find yourself cut in pieces in the middle of the desert in Nevada.
well, if it's that correct, then doesn't it mean that that's a good place to go and to look at
That's
and to
not
try
one.
to,
We already know where the corruption is. That's in the report to the governor.com. All you got to do is go get that book and read it, and it'll tell you everything over all the bodies are buried. Why it opens it wide up. I mean, it's just astonishing. That's not in the mainstream media, but obviously,
John Tholer, right? Is
yeah,
that his name?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, they still have his child, his son, to this day. Kidnapped him. Oh yeah.
How old's his child?
He doesn't. Nobody knows.
No, how old is his child?
Probably five now, six. 2020, they snatched him. He was 3 years old. So there you go.
Was it like
The
D
drug
whatever?
cartel,
Pardon?
the drug cartels.
Yeah.
He was doing a separate RICO investigation in California and stumbled upon this big drug trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering, forgery, notary public fraud, clerk's office fraud, mortgage scams. Fuck. I mean, it just goes on a laundry list of just all this big criminal enterprises that's going on in Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. And it's a drug cartel. So as he's doing this one investigation, he stumbled into this other one, starts investigating that. The drug cartel took one of their women to target him and have a relationship with him, eventually becoming his wife, having his child, eventually turning the state's #1 witness against the cartel, having had to go into federal witness protection program. That's what the drug
She
cartel.
did or he did? Is he in the federal?
No, he's not. She
She
is.
is.
Yeah.
And she is the child.
No, the drug cartel has the child. Child was kidnapped. Yeah, they took his child and her child.
Yeah. I think that it's not only the cartel who does that, but a lot of these deep state
Yeah.
entities.
Yeah. We're not going to get into all that because we know what that looks like. And, he was battling the drug cartel. Drug cartel's running everything. They have corruption, obviously all the way up to the Utah Supreme Court and everything, all the way down, as well as
You know
Arizona.
what happens when you seize assets, including bank accounts? They don't have them anymore. Do you know why the Sinaloa cartel? My understanding is that when they realized that the US could go in and seize their assets, they took it out of CSV, Silicon Valley Bank, right? They took out $48 billion, my understanding is, in one day. Like, I would like to withdraw $48 billion right now. And they did. Okay. Probably put it over in bricks or something. And so we have ways that we deal with this stuff. We have it on the books. Our system isn't broken, or the laws aren't broken. The fact that they aren't often being enforced is a problem.
Right.
So there are things that we can do to combat these problems. We have to get a clean election to be able to get people in office who actually represent us, because that's not what's happening right now. Doesn't matter who's running, the votes are a shell game and they don't correlate with your vote. The results don't correlate with your vote.
Did I tell you about Sheila Jackson Lee's last election? Who ran against her and that whole thing?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, since we'd had discussion, Sheila Jackson Lee is over my district where I live. So I was like, God, man, this woman, man, this place is the pits. It's the ghetto. You ain't doing nothing for improvement. So who ran against her? Because I'm thinking about running against her. So I look it up. I'm like, oh my God, that woman lost against Sheila Jackson Lee. Really? The dumbest woman in Congress, actually the dumbest person in Congress. And this woman is the 1984 Miss Venezuela, the 1985 Miss Universe runner-up. Gorgeous woman. I'm like, it's unbelievable. I got to contact her. She's here in Houston. So I call her up and we have a conversation. She ran in the 2020 election as a MAGA candidate, backed Donald Trump. Kevin McCarthy, then Speaker of the House, of course, controlling the Republican purse strings, came down here, withdrew all Republican funding for all MAGA candidates, and backed Sheila Jackson Lee. So the political parties are also corrupt. So even though you get candidates, they get corrupted, even though they have goodwill, good intention, maybe Christians and never been in trouble a day in their life. Boom, they get elected to office, they go to DC, they get invited to these parties, and boom, next thing you know, they wake up and they're watching this video of, a snuff film of them executing some child that they recorded while they had you, screwed up on, whatever different type of drugs out there, because there's a drug that comes from Colombia that y'all may or may not know about, that all you got to do is just touch the dust, just touch it, and you're controllable.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's scary. Yeah, they lace people up, make them go empty their bank accounts, sexually abuse them, physically abuse them. They wake up in the hospitals, don't have a clue what happened. Nothing. They just have this foggy, hazy memory of something. They don't know what. Yeah, very scary. So yeah, that's a thing that can happen. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can go on and on and on and on. Let me let you go. Go get on with your thing. We'll definitely have this conversation again. Thank God this cleared up and we had a clear video for the last hour. So
Yeah, nice.
great. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you again
Thank
for,
you.
all right. Send me
Take,
that link so I can get it in the description so we can get you some donations.
I'll do that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Christine Scott, everybody. Wow, what a blessing. Thank you again for having her on here. Thank you again for watching. I hope you all learned something, got educated. Christine Scott going up against Ronald DeSantis and many, many, many others on the Florida state and county level for 2020 and 2022 election fraud. She's trying to address the upcoming 2024 election as well. And there you go. You have a synopsis of what's going on with her case, as well as some other stuff. And at the very beginning, of course, we talked about Anna Scanovan rights. I would love to leave that up on YouTube, but due to the content that we currently talked about with Christine Scott, I am unable to leave this video on YouTube, and it's going to be immediately taken down as soon as I end this show. So you want to reach me, the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. If you would like to reach Christine, you can send me an email. I will forward it to Christine. Whether or not she wants to interact with you is all on the shoulders of Christine. I will relay the message. That's all I am as a messenger. TheFearlessFloydShow.com is my website. You want to take a class on trust or the voucher coupon remittance process, it's in my store, thefearlessfloydshow.com/store. You want a book on trusts, 7 different types of trusts: revocable, irrevocable, college tuition trust. It goes on and on and on. Those are available in ebook as well as a 2-volume physical book form. And we have a new class coming up, private membership associations with LeFlore. She talked about that yesterday on the show. But we are going to have another class coming up. So I got to get all that scheduled as well. So with graciousness and humbleness, thank you very much, Christine, for coming on the show. Everybody else, thank you for hanging in there. Again, if you want to watch this video in whole, it will be over on Rumble, Odyssey, my Telegram channel, as well as my Facebook channel. It will not be on YouTube. Sorry, folks, but it is what it is. Thank you for watching. I enjoyed it. Donations will be in the description below for Christine. So if you want to help her out, if she's trying to help you out, and I know what it is to be broke, destitute, and, like I need to buy another typewriter ribbon or 6 because I'm out and I don't have any money, what that looks like, or I'm out of typing paper and I have to use toilet paper wrappers. Literally, I've done that. I have filed litigation into the United States Supreme Court on toilet paper wrapper, roll wrappers, the big, yeah. Yep. Cut it up, made it, 8.5 by 11. All I had. Got to do what you got to do. That's that whole injunction case I had against the law librarian. I was part of it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Y'all hang in there. Y'all know what time it is.